get set up here with a Bidoof at the very least, and then Jeremy has to ask the question, do I chase down the attacker? Do I try to snipe down support Pokemon instead? How do you really want to approach this matchup to be aggressive or play towards this new Mew variant's ability to be a disruptive, annoying deck if it chooses?
Irida in hand, though, for Makani, so they'll be able to search for a water Pokemon and an item. And it's looking like, yeah, Cross Switcher and Origin Form Palkia V-Star maybe going for a big knockout on that Mew V with that double turbo energy. We'll have to see.
Taking down the double turbo energy has been a fantastic strategy versus these new Mew decks. Only has the 4 double turbo energy in the deck in order to facilitate attacking. Every once in a while, the players get really overzealous or sometimes desperate to look for a specific card, end up discarding the double turbos off of the Pokestop. With Ice Rider Calyrex also hitting the bench, we have now another backup attacker.
Not probably the best one in this scenario, but still it is something. And right now we're probably going to see a Star Portal, just get those 2 energies on that active.
Onto the Palkia V-Star. Once you attach that energy to the...
Maximizes your Star Portal ability, getting all 3 energy. But bringing up the Genesect V, an interesting choice here. But oh no, we're just going to see a Star Portal. Moonlight Shuriken on both Mew V for 70, and we're going the route where, yeah, I'm just going to take 2 Mew Vmax knockouts, and that's it.
A very elegant line. We know that Jeremy can really only attack with these Mews, and so by pre-damaging one, you're now positing the question, okay, are you going to try to go for a Psychic Leap? I know that your bench is all full. There's the first evolution here into Mew VMAX, and you have to remember, right, we've gotten so used with these V-Star decks, 2 prizes, 2 prizes, 2 prizes, but this is a VMAX, a Mew VMAX worth 3 prizes. We could hopefully get only 2 knockouts to close out the game here for Makani.
Jeremy does finally have that Pokestop. Naps a Choice Belt and that Battle VIP Pass. Choice Belt will be good. Battle VIP Pass is also good because you can discard it to that Cramomatic here. So being able to get
and there's the heads. Jeremy rolling high still with the Cramomatic, finding the card that he needs to get out of the situation. There's 1 switch in the deck, but gets a cross switcher. Seems to be a great idea as well to pull one of these attackers off the bench before they are set up. Star Portal already being used once more, again, means, you know, the catch-up mechanic is no longer there. We're down to manual attachments. 2 Melanie in the list for Makani, but you've got to draw into them. No Bidoof, no Barrel part of this equation yet.
And with that Choice Belt, that is enough to take the knockout on the Ice Rider Calyrex V, and Cross Switcher will bring it up and put the Genesect V back to the bench.
I appreciate that choice of the Ice Rider Calyrex. Its damage is not going to be able to be stopped, right?
Yeah.
With the bench so small for Makani, the Origin Form Palkia V-Star has already been defanged.
Trekking Shoes for Jeremy. Again, oh.
Ooh, discards a double turbo. We talked about how important these can be, but I guess that Jeremy feels that he's so far ahead in this match, about to take this knockout, with Makani failing to complete the setup, that the double turbo isn't a requirement. You still have 1 in play, a few more in the deck. So feeling pretty safe here to dig a little deeper with that Trekking Shoes.
You still got that 1 in hand, and then your copy of Silene as well to maybe get those back later on if need be. But right now, getting the knockout for Jeremy is the best possible thing, and then you just need to build up those power tablets to take the knockout on that Palkia V-Star.
You see some players get punished by, you know, running out of the energies, but you can't let what happened to other players spook you out of doing what you feel is the correct line. Jeremy obviously has been correct 12 times over the course of the Swiss rounds, and now is sitting very comfortably as the first seed here in top 8.
Thinking through the plays, there's an Ultra Ball where, depending on what you discard, could be detrimental, but having the Pal Pad here to shuffle back in that boss's orders in Avery, not too bad, especially the later you go, the better those supporters get. And it'll be interesting to see if Jeremy actually fires off that Ultra Ball or not, just to draw more cards with that last Fusion Strike system.
The Avery just a fantastic way to punish, right? As soon as Makani starts to get set up, we have the Avery to say, well, you've got to discard something now. Or I think we've seen it more often than not where Avery is just draw 3.
Yeah, good old Hop or Charon. Any
The
of the
pokey
draw 3
friend
supporters.
of your choice. But Rotom Phone looks at top 5. A lot of strong options to put on top here.
Yeah, Power Tablet could be a card of choice for the next turn. You are also a little bit worried that Makani is going to have that Melanie Water Energy to take the knockout with some benched Pokemon. But you really just have to play to what you need to do to get this victory.
And we saw Jeremy kind of put on the brakes a little bit earlier in the game, and now we can already see him shifting gears to solidify the position here. The Rotom Phone just putting the card on top. The Fusion Strike systems have all been expended for this turn, and the hand looks great. Going to take the open attack here, the Techno Blast, to get that knockout. 2 prizes from the Calyrex going down. Palkia V-Star gets promoted to the active. Nice Irida off the top, but now we've got another bench of the Lumineon V using its Luminous Sign ability to search through the deck for a supporter card. And what do you think Makani needs off of this Lumineon?
Well, you need to attack. So they're going to get that Melanie and be able to get an energy on that Origin Form Palkia V-Star, attach for turn, and then hopefully take the knockout. You're going to have to do a little bit of math. I really don't want to do it right now, but we'll see. I'll trust them.
Once you have the Melanie in play, not only are you attaching the energy, you're drawing some cards. And yeah, it's already being eyeballed here. Trying to just keep up at this point, especially with the Star Portal offline. This Origin Form Palkia needs to take a knockout, get some prizes, buy enough time for the next attacker to be established. We want to hopefully see another Palkia V put onto the bench and get ready to evolve. Jeremy did, again, put that Avery back in. So the bench, if it is forced to get really wide on this turn, you're going to have to scramble, perhaps, in a future turn to get even more Pokemon to bench to power up the subspace swell.
Trekking Shoes and Ultra Ball drawn off that Melanie are 2 pretty good item cards for Makani here. Just needing more Pokemon in play. It does have concealed cards, so continue the digging, but no basic Pokemon so far.
Oh no, it's so difficult to get the knockouts from this position, even though Jeremy has a full bench. You know, it's both benches combined to power up the subspace swell, but you've also got to do your part here to come together to find this line. And look at this, having to discard the Bibarel just to find another basic.
Makani still needs to make sure that they have a water energy in hand to attach to that active. Remember, the Melanie just got the one from the discards. Still has the attachment for turn. Ultra Ball most likely going to find a Bidoof. I guess you do have access to something like maybe a Crobat.
Yeah, the list is got a very big toolbox. There's like Empoleon V in there, but it's such a struggle, especially not seeing the Bidoofs, not seeing the Palkias. And when you're trying to just scrape the bottom of the barrel just to put up some sort of offense, you're being forced to bench all of these Pokemon that are just prime targets for Jeremy to chase down with the cross switchers and with Boss's orders, with already 2 prize cards out of 6 taken. If Makani cannot respond on this turn, you're going to fall irreparably behind.
And if my math was right, which it usually never is, but I do believe Makani needs a full bench to deal that 260. There is that choice belt, so I guess that is a little bit of a leeway here.
Yeah, there's still a little bit of damage on this Mew Vmax from earlier, that Moonlit Shuriken. Makani was already playing towards, this sort of position to have a slightly easier time to get the knockout on the Vmax, but without the proper setups of the Bidoof or another attacker just set up a little bit sooner, it has become very difficult to keep resources in hand versus having to discard key pieces through the Ultra Ball.
Well, there is that 4th bench Pokemon and that choice belt that is enough to take the knockout through the Oricorio. And finally, Makani getting those 3 prizes, now up, essentially, but Jeremy still has the advantage in turns at least, but that 70 damage on that Mew V could prove very beneficial for Makani.
And now there is the attachment onto the Mew V, the double turbo, and the evolution. So we've got another attack coming off of this fresh one. Power tablet. Another power tablet already is assembling the pieces to knock out this Palkia V-Star. Here comes the Pokestop. We need to find a choice belt here.
And there was the choice belt found. 3 cards drawn for that Pokestop. You love to see it.
All the pieces coming together for Jeremy. Every Mew deck comes down to these sorts of combos, right? Having the choice belts and the power tablets. It's been so long where power tablets was just something you could burn for free to facilitate Fusion Strike system, but now this deck truly needs them to hit the attacking numbers that it requires.
Pretty interesting to see the cross switcher there, but pulls up that Lumineon V. It's going to be an easy knockout, but you're losing the benefit of those power tablets.
Yeah, might just go for a retreat back into the Mew Vmax. Jeremy coming up just a little bit short on the math, perhaps. Wants to get an easier KO to chase up something else for the knockout. Again, this Calyrex V, also a nice target. That was the first source of Jeremy's prize cards.
I guess we are digging for one more power tablet. You can copy that Psychic Leap attack and shuffle back in that Mew Vmax, so there's no way for Makani to take the game next turn. So this is going to be a big Cramomatic Heads.
Cramomatic Heads. This is going to find that final power tablet.
But then you run the risk of, if Makani is able to take out your Mew V, then you're just going to be so far behind.
Yeah, when the Mew V goes down, it's just, the Lumineon V is already an easy knockout. The map that Jeremy wants to go for is fine, but you're leaving this Origin Form Palkia V-Star set up. And I think this just goes back to Jeremy playing this in a much more methodical and cautious manner, not wanting to take the risk of going all in towards taking down the Palkia and coming up short, and then just leaving this attacker in the active. Do you think Lumineon V might be left stranded here while Jeremy kind of recouples and redoubles his resources here, builds up for a better attacking position? But then you're just missing out on the power tablets.
Yeah, dealing 190 with Psychic Leap will be able to take the knockout, and maybe Jeremy's just focusing in on that Echoing Horn to finish off the game, bring back the Lumineon V, take the knockout with the boss's orders, and this is just going to be really risky, leaving that Mew V in play by itself and that Origin Form Palkia V-Star with 2 energy.
When you go for the Psychic Leap, the Mew V is just going to shuffle itself and all of its attached cards back into the deck, so you aren't missing out on the double turbo energy. But then you have to find something to promote. You're leaving this damaged Mew Vmax in play that Makani maybe can still chase down. And that's why you can see Jeremy being so diligent, checking the discard pile, seeing what is the risk of this play actually happening. And we still a little bit of a discussion going on at the table with the Mew deck. There's a lot of sequencing, a lot of cards drawn. Sometimes things can get quite mixed up. Just making sure that everything has happened the way it needs to.
Again, the table judges are trying to work through it here. But the way this turn has been set up, Jeremy would hopefully get that Mew VMAX out of harm's way, back into the deck. And just gotta pray that Makani doesn't have that boss's orders.
It looks like...
this is my third turn, actually, I'm certain. Because he went first. He Palkia, Greninja, attached, passed. I went second, attached.
Yeah, so there is a little bit of discussion at the table. They're just retracing the steps here of the turn to make absolutely sure that everything has gone according to, proper rules, proper gameplay. I certainly didn't notice any direct errors. I know there's probably some eagle-eyed viewer that maybe spotted something, whatever the judges are discussing at this point. But they'll get it resolved as well. And, of course, there'll be a time extension to make up for this little, lapse in gameplay.
I think Makani's trying to figure out if there already was an attachment for the turn or if there was a double attachment. But I do believe that the double turbo energies have been in there.
Okay. Yeah,
Jeremy
'cause
already had it in hand, got the attachment turn 1, attachment turn 2, discarded the one with the trekking shoes, I believe.
okay.
And then with that, we have the board state where it is now, but the players are still trying to figure it out there.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Like I think it's honestly happened a lot on the stream where Mew, especially this new build, that's not just going for turbo and a very direct attacking style, going for something that wants to be more methodical, a little bit more disruptive. There's a little bit more in that sequence that you have to keep track of, and sometimes two supporters, a double attachment. Depending on how the turn is passing back and forth. But here in top 8, we can see we have 2 judges at the table, and looks like they are going to make absolutely sure that everything is going, properly at this point. Still 50 minutes left in the round, left on the clock. And when we evaluate the board state as it is, Jeremy was already gearing up for a fantastic turn with Makani being in a position of still at least having the Origin Form Palkia V-Star available as attacker, but the downside of Lumineon V and Ice Rider being in the discard pile to just be brought back with Echoing Horn to be those final 2 knockouts.
Yeah, this is how the Palkia versus Mew matchup plays a lot in general, is the player who gets to take that first knockout really just sets the pace of play for the game. You're going to take those 2 prizes, then you're going to get 2 prizes taken, then you're going to take 2 prizes, then they're going to take 2 prizes, then you're going to win the game. That's hopefully how it draws out the way Makani has played this game. They chose to do the Moonlight Shuriken, get the 70 damage on both Mew V, and then that way you can soften them up with the Vmax and take the knockout a little easier.
Yeah, going for that 2-3 prize Pokemon prize mapping is very bold. This list with the Mew VMAX, because you aren't being so specific about Fusion Strike energy, being able to attach your double turbo to get the retreat on a Genesect, like classic Mew, you strand that Genesect to buy yourself some time. You have more play and more flexibility there with the attacks that you decide to use. And it's just having access to these extra options adds another layer of complexity to the game. And here in top 8, these players are still very well oiled, I would say, at this point. You've put your reps in. They had that nice break before the end of the final Swiss rounds, before top 8 began, to really recenter themselves. And at this point, it's just an abundance of caution from the judges to just make sure that there's not a double attachment here, because it would mean that this Mew V in the active will not have the double turbo energy on it, correct?
Yeah. But it would mean a little bit more, because there's some cards drawn with Fusion Strike system. There's cards being found, so we'll just wait and have to see how things shape up here. This is top 8, though, so there's 75 minutes, plus whatever time extension will come from this. And you got to remember, even though you got that little 20-minute break or so, this is still top 8. You've been playing all weekend. Nerves are going off. Both of these players, it's their first top 8 out of regionals. And so, now, while you can't excuse mistakes like that, it's definitely something that could happen.
Yeah, it definitely happens to the best of us and the worst of us, of course. But that's why we have the judges here. We have 2 at the table, and we have the wonderful modern technology of actually being able to check the tapes and just make sure that it all went down. And that there's going to be a lot of sequences and a lot of actions to sift through when you have to actually see the sequence leading up to this board state against a Mew deck. They, again, drawing so many cards, playing so many cards, discarding so many cards with the Cramomatic. And I know that us on the desk, everyone at home, and the players are just praying that this is a salvageable board state if something did indeed go amiss.
It's looking like they have settled it, it seems like.
All right, so a 3rd judge arriving to confer. The council has spoken. We're going to try to repair this state.
So it does look like there was...
So there is a bit of a rollback happening indeed.
Yeah.
And now it's just a matter of if it is possible. Maybe there can be some sort of hand randomization from the judges, some things shuffled back in. Fortunately, with the footage we have available, we can see what was drawn. It's just a matter of player information at this point. Maybe there will be some sort of call. But again, it's all written down in the book, and then some things are always going to land outside of what you anticipate, and the judges will make the best ruling based on their discretion, of course.
Well, while we have this time, we can update you on a few of the other top 8 matches that have been going on. Piper Lepine up 1 game against Jack Moore. That's going to be that Inteleon Radiant Charizard up against that Miltank kind of toolbox stall, hoping for the best. But
thing.
it is a very rough matchup for Jack there. And then meanwhile, Andrew Kannett up 1 game against Dro Rudiger with that Regigigas.
Wow, the Regigigas still hanging in there. A list that a lot of players brought, but only one made it this far. Drew has been piloting it very well, and we even saw in the match of Drew versus Piper. Piper didn't feel that she was actually favored in that match. It ended up going her way, and that was due to some early scoops and some bad prizes, but when it comes to those two maybe rematching, that would be certainly interesting to see.
Oh, for sure. And the way it looks like it, they're both 1 game away from doing that.
All right, and as we kind of zoom back in on this gameplay, it looks like one of these cards here is going to be exiled, figuring out how to roll back this game state. And this is honestly the judges going above and beyond, right, to repair this game state, especially with a deck that can perform so many sequences so rapidly, to figure out what cards we can perhaps shuffle back into the deck, etc. Whatever they choose to do, the players are certainly going to abide by that. That's why the judges are here. And I think that we don't really see any remarks or gestures of protestation from these players. They're perfectly fine with going along with whatever the judges say, I think, at this point.
Yeah, it seems like they are going to be able to rewind the actions to where that double turbo energy was put back into the hand.
Yeah, we're putting Dialga in.
Dialga's using its time-space powers to get the time wound back. And yeah, it's most likely going to be at least a double prize penalty for Jeremy. Anytime you draw an extra card, it's flat out at least a double prize penalty. That's definitely going to affect the way this game is, just because that means Makani would only need, what, 1 more prize to take the game here?
True. That is true after getting that first knockout. And with this, you can see how, when you are an up-and-coming player, you've made it to your first top 8 at a regional, you're very excited to jump into it, and you think, okay, well, I'm just going to do what I've been doing the entire time, and you lose focus for 1 second. You fall into, an autopilot almost, and there's just a small slip up here, and it takes a bit to repair, but the judges have done their diligence, and we'll get word on the official ruling, of course. I personally am just excited to see this game continue, because it is rather close, especially considering the way Makani approached this in a somewhat unorthodox fashion with that opening Moonlit Shuriken attack to set up a later game advantage.
Yeah, so it seems like Jeremy actually just didn't have the attachment turn 1, and that's where I got kind of confused.
Okay.
And yeah, so that card in hand, still able to have that 3rd power tablet with that Cramomatic, and just put back a card, and it is most likely going to be that double prize penalty. We'll get official word. Yep, there we go. The red Pokeballs means that Makani just needs 1 more prize to finish up this game 1 here.
So now the texture of this matchup has really shifted. Jeremy seemed to be in a strong state to be able to take another prize, maybe nullify one of Makani's attackers. But now, when you only need a plan to take 1 more prize, this Oricorio becomes a huge liability on the bench.
Yeah, that means the whole cross-switcher play to bring up the Lumineon V is just the worst possible thing that could have happened now, because you wanted to take that knockout on that Origin Form Palkia V-Star, force Makani to have another Melanie and try to take a knockout with that Ice Rider Vmax. And with that ruling too, there is going to be a 15-minute time extension.
Cross Fusion Strike.
All right,
so I
and
just
now
wait for
Jeremy
knockouts,
is
I won't
re-promoting
do
this
that.
Mew VMAX, going for the Cross Fusion Strike here, using the
What I was
Techno
trying to do
Blast.
before I got penalized.
Yeah, and opts not to put it into the deck because this Mew VMAX is the only thing that can actually take a hit from the Origin form Palkia V-Star. Just 10 damage off from or I guess 30 damage off from taking the knockout. Needs
yeah,
a
it
couple
is.
more bench Pokemon.
And now we have an attacker. Makani it's got the choice belt, 2 water energy attached. Just have to get a few more Pokemon on the bench to make this happen. And again, that bonus damage from earlier from the Moonlit Shuriken means this Mew VMAX is going to be an easy knockout.
So I need 4 on bench to knock out, right?
And Makani just clarifying, yep, 4 bench for the knockout. And with that Irida and the Bidoof in hand, it looks like that will be the game 1 here.
Yep, Palkia V and the Quick Ball, so that's going to be the other benched Pokemon to take this one down. So due to a small gameplay error, Makani is indeed able to recover this. Jeremy was going for a line of, again, just getting the easy knockout on the Lumineon V, setting up the Echoing Horn to get another knockout versus this. But with the Origin form Palkia V-Star remaining in play as an attacker, game 1 is going to go down.
I was going to leave
Yeah,
to an Oricorio.
a lackluster way to finish that game 1, but Makani just sticking to their guns, able to pull it off, catching the double attachment first, and then being able to just use the board to their advantage, pulling away with the victory for that first game. Jeremy still was kind of in a little bit of trouble there, was going to Psychic Leap the Mew VMAX into the deck, bring up that Oricorio. Then it was on Makani to try and find a boss's orders or something like a cross switcher to actually take the knockout on the Mew on the bench. And if that happens, there's no way for Jeremy to win anyway.
So either way, Makani was sort of in a strong position. Again, with the Origin form Palkia V-Star, I was definitely very worried that there wouldn't be enough attacking Pokemon coming from the Palkia side. But at the end of the day, once we get into the next game, and potentially a game 3, Mew still has so many chances to just run away with the game with the Battle VIP Pass. You're going to get set up so quickly, and once you get the Fusion Strike systems online with the Genesect V, you just continue to draw, and now Jeremy is not going to make a mistake like this again.
Oh, you can guarantee that. Once something like that happens, it racks your brain for a while, and Jeremy's still not out of it yet. It is a matchup that is pretty back and forth, but the fact that Jeremy has been dominating this entire tournament weekend, you have to at least have some confidence in this matchup.
Yeah, he was feeling very confident during his interview. He likes all the matchups, almost all of them that are present in the top 8, and it just comes down to execution. We know that the players, especially towards the end of the Swiss rounds, were getting very exhausted from having to grind through these games. It was a higher stakes Swiss rounds than usual because everyone was so cracked, right? Having to get 36 points to get your guaranteed spot, 35, 36 points, is just ridiculous, I think.
Yeah. Echoing Horn in the middle of the prizes for Jeremy could be something that comes up later on. That is one of the easier ways for you to work around the V-Stars and the V-Maxes and just get those easy 2-prize knockouts in those Pokemon V.
Usually when you have the Echoing Horn play, you're planning for it when you have 4 prizes remaining. And we'll see once Jeremy looks through the deck and sees that the Echoing Horn is in the prizes, if he'll take that big bet. After taking the first 2 off of a V or V-Star KO, do you take that bet, well, my next 2 will be Echoing Horn and just play towards that out, or will it be too risky? We've seen Jeremy kind of opt to approach these matchups in a much more cautious fashion.
One of the 2 Origin form Palkia V-Star in the prizes for Makani here, but Jeremy starts off this game 2 of our top 8 with another Battle VIP Pass.
Yeah, you love to go first with this list, of course. Battle VIP Pass right off the top, going to complete the setup. We've seen this time and time again. Genesect V going to be found. Jeremy, of course, taking this opportunity to evaluate the prize situation. Nothing too scary in there. Meanwhile, Makani is feeling much more relaxed after getting that win in game 1. You have a buffer now take the game 2, or if it goes to game 3, you know, especially with this time extension, you're going to have plenty of time to still make sure you're thinking. No need to go for like any wild turbo plays. Tails on the Cram-O-Matic, however.
Tails is never what you want to see, but it's still early, you know. Turn 1, it's fine.
Yeah, it's definitely better to have it happen early than later in the game when you need that heads to find that one missing piece, that final power tablet, or that cross switcher that you need to take the final KO or bail yourself out of a bad situation. Especially when you're completing your setup, it's just a very easy way to thin down the hand. And, you know, Rotom Phone is available, but we need a few more Pokemon to bench in order for these Fusion Strike systems to really come alive.
You're going to have to work around, thin down the hand a little bit.
2 Genesects being revealed from the Rotom Phone. So Jeremy has a bit of a interesting line once again where you can play it slow, put the Genesect on top, just relax for a turn.
Well, you got that Pokestop in hand, so that's a way to thin the hand down without shuffling the deck. And with that, draw the 1 card, which is that Genesect. Then you just continue on with that Fusion Strike system.
All right, Pokestop will be set up. Honestly, this stadium has added so much weird textures to the lineups and the matchups, where decks that normally wouldn't, even be running the stadium can still make use of it, a bit like Training Court. And then you have to take that big risk of, oh, but what if I discard something important? But with this Mew deck, of course, you're drawing so many cards that maybe you just don't care if you discard something important from time to time.
Ultra Ball was the card found from the Rotom Phone, though, so it's still a Genesect, just in an awkward way. Discards that double turbo energy, the extra one from the hand, and now Genesect full power almost, drawing up to 4 cards. There's another Battle VIP pass.
Doesn't mind discarding the double turbo because there is one attached. Final Battle VIP pass to complete the setup. And now all we need is the Oricorio, and that is indeed found.
Looking like a pretty good start here for Jeremy, but again, we said that last time. It's going to be up to Makani, see how their start is going to be for this game 1 of this game, or turn 1 of this game 2.
Was this one used, or did I kill it?
Yeah, double checking the Genesect to make sure if it's been used or not. There is one more Fusion Strike system available.
And again, Jeremy just triple checking, like, I haven't used this one, right?
And we saw earlier, you know, players even turning their Genesect Vs upside down to indicate that they've been used, and or players putting the used Genesects way off to the side to directly indicate, because you are kind of weaving them in with your turn, so sometimes it is hard to remember all of it. But back over to Makani, gets the quick ball here. Discarding a Water Energy you love to see. And from here, you have to say, okay, do I want to find Radiant Greninja, draw more cards? Do I want to get an attacker with Origin Form Palkia V? A very split path being offered here. And we saw Makani kind of, again, take a line that we weren't really anticipating with that early Moonlit Shuriken. And we'll see if they want to replicate that same sort of game state.
It's going to be interesting for sure. Looking like maybe the Lumineon V could be the Pokemon of choice for Makani. That would open up a play for Irida, getting that Battle VIP pass maybe. And from there, you get fully set up. This quick ball turns into 4 Pokemon.
Yeah, already pulling those cards to the top here. Going to get the Lumineon and go back in for the Irida and Battle VIP pass. A much stronger setup for Makani here to get those Bidoofs as well, get the Barrel Engine online, get some more card draw, have more resources to respond to this Mew setup. Jeremy has consistently demonstrated this exact distribution of Pokemon on the bench every single game.
It's looking like that Origin Form Palkia V is going to be the Pokemon that Makani chooses, and then that Battle VIP pass grabs that Bidoof, like you were saying. You want to get that B-Barrel Engine up as fast as possible. That's really the one way Makani can get through their deck. You can utilize your Ultra Balls drawn later on in the game to grab your V-Stars and V-Maxes, and then just draw back up to 5 cards.
Both players, yeah, just demonstrating these loops of thinning the hand down and having to be very specific about the way they use the resources. Because once you've discarded something or maybe burned something, you know, failed a quick ball just to get it out of your hand and discard something, it's gone. Now, look at this full setup here, foregoing the Radiant Greninja, but getting a lot of attacking Pokemon in play, plenty of things to pivot to. It's going to be difficult for Jeremy to chase down the proper target while also feeling safe. If 2 Mew Vmax go down, Makani will take this second game.
Missing the energy attachment for the turn, though. Makani does have that Melanie in hand to go along with a training court, but you don't want a training court bring back the energy to attach because then you can't use your Melanie for next turn.
So yeah, leaving the water energy in the discard pile, super important to still continue to plan ahead. We can see Makani also has that Raihan in hand. Another way to attach from the discard pile. So strong. Again, using the Melanie, the Raihan, and the Star Portal all in combination to make sure that you're able to quickly set up another attacker, especially when you're behind. You need that catch-up potential.
This is kind of an awkward Avery here.
Avery.
Because Makani's going to discard that Lumineon V 100% of the time. And yet now just getting rid of the Ice Rider, focusing on that Origin Form Palkia V for the bulk majority of this game.
Yeah, the Palkia V sometimes can be a little clunky to hit the numbers that you need, but because Jeremy is playing a deck that has no choice but to fill up its bench almost, you can reliably count on this extra damage for the subspace as well. Meanwhile, Jeremy with the Trekking Shoes finds the Cramomatic and pulls a Heads.
That Heads is huge. That means Cross Switcher is going to be an out for Jeremy. He'll be able to retreat, Cross Switcher, bring up that Palkia V, and then take the knockout thanks to that Choice Belt, and this is exactly where you want to be in this match.
After so many attackers were set up, the Avery and Cross Switcher play somehow allows Jeremy to nullify so much of Makani's threat potential.
It went from a full bench to now just 2 Pokemon on the bench.
Yep, and there it is. Mew V comes up and then retreats back into the Mew V Max. Can now use its Cross Fusion Strike. Once, of course, these Genesects are also expended.
Yeah, able to do all that without really using Fusion Strike system. That is pretty good if you ask me.
Yep, Mew VMAX also found here. A few more ways to thin down the hand with a Quick Ball. Nice Choice Belt available as well. Going to get rid of the second Pokestop. Look through the deck, fail his Quick Ball. Yep, just going to quickly shuffle here.
I believe still has the option for Pokestop, or did he already use it earlier on in the turn?
Actually, I don't think the Pokestop has been used this turn. Let me double check. Let me think. Let me roll it back in my mind.
Let's look in the Mind Palace.
But this, of course, this is exactly the sort of situation that the players are faced with, right? Wait, did I use Pokestop? You got to stop and ask the judges. Jeremy's going to be playing double cautious here. The Pokestop, I believe, was found, right, to get the Cramomatic or the Trekking Shoes?
It might have been for the Trekking Shoes, yeah.
So at the very least, at this point, I don't even know if Jeremy would go for it. If I ever forgot, I'd be like, I'm not even going to try for the Pokestop.
Are you guys sure if I...
Yeah, Jeremy is making full use of the judges here, using their eyes to make sure that his turns are absolutely immaculate.
And with that second energy attachment, there is the Cross Fusion Strike for the Technoblast, taking the knockout. And this has been a pretty rough turn 2 for Makani here.
All right, Mysterious Tail, though. Mew still in the active. Look at the top 6. Find an item card. Trekking Shoes can see a little bit more of the deck. There's Cross Switchers in the hand. There's a Raihan available. We can try to get this Palkia V set up, but we need the V-Star.
Does have access to an Ultra Ball, but Ultra Ball is most likely going to find something like that B-Barrel if you really need it. You can grab the V-Star with that same Ultra Ball, but then you're just really on the back foot. No B-Barrel in play. You have no real engine to speak of.
And that presents a really interesting split idea of, do I want to take a slightly less guaranteed play, but is more rewarding from an efficiency standpoint? Trekking Shoes does find a Quick Ball. However, Gets rid of the water energy, slowly just putting everything into the discard pile, setting up for Star Portal to come swinging back in. Still a lot of work needs to be done to get this Mew VMAX up. Finally, Radiant Greninja hits the scene, so a little bit more draw power available. And who knows if Makani will go for that Moonlit Shuriken attack now that there's 2 Mew VMAX in play and try to pave the way for Palkia V to kind of come back into things. Still with the Raihan in hand, you have plenty of ways to get your next attacker powered up with that ability once Mew and or Radiant Greninja goes down.
Training Court finally hits the board, and it's just such a great combo with this Radiant Greninja being able to pick up a water energy from your discard and then discarding it for that concealed cards. And now with a little bit of extra cards to play with, gonna discard that Choice Belt, which is quite unfortunate with that Ultra Ball, but now we'll be able to find what's looking like that Origin Form Palkia V-Star.
And with Makani choosing the V-Star over the Bibarel, again, just going for a guaranteed attacker, not saying, well, I'm going to get the Bibarel and then try to just naturally draw into it after thinning the hand down. Having the attackers available is how Makani is going to win. Also still has Raihan available for this turn for an attachment from the discard pile. Goes on to the Radiant Greninja. This might actually be the line, Jeremy, setting up a Moonlit Shuriken threat for the Palkia V-Star to capitalize on.
Exactly, and Raihan able to find that B-Barrel, so best of both worlds. Not too bad for Makani here. We'll be able to draw up to 5 cards, especially with both those cross switchers being used right now. Brings up that Genesect, and we're going to see that same play again. Try to strand the Genesect in the active spot and get some
and
spread
has
damage.
the Bibarel already. Beautiful sequence. You get to have your cake and eat it too. Gets the attacker and the draw engine online. Draws into a Trekking Shoes to see more of the deck. Doesn't need that Pumpkaboo. Draws into Canceling Cologne, a very hilarious tech card. Gets rid of the water energy, draws into Crobat V. So now we're able to fill up the bench as well to facilitate this Palkia V-Star, get a little bit more card draw if absolutely necessary. Tool Scrapper comes through to get rid of the Choice Belt, making it that much harder for a revenge knockout.
Not going to matter too much. Jeremy does have that second copy of Choice Belt in hand, but Tool Scrapper is one of those cards that isn't really seeing a lot of play, but it really does benefit a lot of these players, especially later on in this tournament.
And there is the attachment with the Star Portal. Moonlight Shuriken comes through to drop that damage onto the Mew VMAX, just like we saw in the first game, and we already experienced how detrimental this is to Jeremy to be able to safely respond to Makani's onslaught. Cramomatic discarding the Battle VIP pass and gets ahead. Jeremy is still not out of this game, is going to fight back with all of his strength, and one card of his choosing from the deck is going to be exactly what he needs to punish.
Yeah, that last cross switcher from the deck, thanks to that Cramomatic heads, and to go along with the one in hand, that means his Genesect is no longer stranded in that active spot. Mew VMAX will be able to take a knockout on something. Just depends if Jeremy has the damage modifiers to take down that Origin Form Palkia, or maybe something like that B-Burl is going to be targeted down.
There's a Power Tablet in the hand. We've got the Choice Belt. Still have Fusion Strike systems available. So here it is. And Makani, again, used the Star Portal and the Raihan already, is going to need the, the Bibarel to find the Melanie to start getting that reattachment from the discard pile to get the next attacker available. So here it is, Choice Belt plus Power Tablet. Fusion Strike system to draw 3 cards.
Just needs one more Power Tablet right off the top.
So it's all come together for the knockout to come through on this Origin Form Palkia V-Star. Also getting rid of the Training Court, restricting Makani's energy options.
Yeah, there is no real way for Makani to try and mount a comeback here. With the Raihan already gone, you're not able to charge up that Greninja in one turn again. And any V that you bench, Jeremy's just going to, eat that up. And Makani, sensing that, takes the quick scoop here and plenty of time for this game 3.
We need Makani to get a stronger startup. I think that was what we wanted to see, right? You had multiple attackers in play, everything was ready to go, but that devastating Avery cross-switcher play took so many options off of the table. And now we're going into game number 3. Jeremy didn't seem too disappointed on that game loss in the first game due to that double prize penalty, and is still feeling pretty confident that I can take both of these games back to back, especially with the time extension, the natural extension of this round in top 8. Both players now have plenty of time to think about how they want to approach this, and Makani has one more opportunity. I don't know if they'll continue to go for that Moonlight Shuriken setup play, or if it's going to be a much more direct attacking idea, perhaps with Ice Rider Calyrex Vmax, which we haven't seen hit the stage yet.
Definitely the big thing for this game 3 is the fact that Makani gets to choose if they want to go first or not, and in this matchup, going first against a Mew deck, especially one that isn't playing Fusion Strike Energy and Meloetta, you're going to have basically an extra free turn. So as long as you get your setup, you'll be in a very good position to control the flow of that game.
If that is indeed the case, Makani might be in the best position yet. And we already saw in game 2, Jeremy is being incredibly cautious with the lines, consulting with the judges to make absolutely sure, did I use this Genesect? Did I use Pokestop already? And so there is no chance of a mistake here in this third game. It's going to be played all above board, no penalties assigned, and both players are going to be swinging for the fences.
Remember, this is game 3, top 8. Loser, their tournament is done. Winner gets to go on to top 4 to play against either Nicholas Moffitt or Isaac, and that's going to be a pretty good match either way.
And while we are waiting for these players to shuffle up and prepare for their momentous game number 3, we do have a bit of an update. Drew Kannett actually able to win 2-0 over Joe Rudiger, and Nicholas Moffitt's actually 1-up over Isaac.
Yeah, and Piper wins 2-0 over Jack. So we already have our rematch set for top 8, Piper versus Drew. That's going to be pretty insane.
Piper versus Drew, that Charizard Intellion box versus the Regis. And Piper, again, did not really show a lot of confidence in being able to win that matchup. Was hoping perhaps a tie when they initially butted heads. But when you shuffle the cards and go again, it could go either way. And that is also the name of the game for the matchup at hand. Shuffle those cards, go again, third time's the charm. Jeremy has seemed incredibly favored in all of the games that we've seen so far. Makani is the one that's trying to fight from behind, but this Palkia deck with the Bidoof setup, just not having the ability to find those key cards with the traditional Inteleon engine means that you are sacrificing that level of direct searchability to have some resilience, right, against, like, you know, memory capsule stuff and all those other things that really bully out the Sobble lines.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be something to see, but one benefit is when your opponent Morgans a few times, you get a few extra cards, so you're not able to search out during the game with Drizziles and Inteleon, but you can at least start the game with a few extra cards thanks to your opponent's mulligans.
And I think there might be, okay, no third mulligan. Finally get an active start here. Couple extra cards to start for Makani. And after these power tablets go down into the prizes, we're off into game 3. The power tablets being in the prizes makes it very difficult for a Palkia V-Star to go down. It's going to force Jeremy to dig really, really deep. Meanwhile, for Makani, Ice Rider Calyrex V starting off in the active, and now Quick Ball to find the rest of the setup.
Yeah, unfortunate to find that Radiant Greninja in the prizes for Makani. And I believe you have the 1 boss's orders as well. So only having to rely on those cross switchers for this early game to bring up some Pokemon, take a knockout. And thankfully, it starts off with a Quick Ball. We'll be able to find some more setup Pokemon, get a good turn 2 going.
Even if you don't have the Radiant Greninja like we saw, Makani has access to the Lumineon V or a Bidoof to make this explosive turn 1 come together. But when you're going first, of course, no supporters, so that Irida play is offline. Actually, it's going to go for Mew. We know that Mysterious Tail's also very important. Searching through the top 6 cards of your deck could find that Battle VIP pass.
Definitely gonna need it. And a way to get the Mew in the active spot as well.
One copy of Battle VIP
Yeah.
pass to rule them all. Let's go.
I mean, you can Irida for it, so as long as you go second, you get it most of the time. Here is the switch, though. Gets the Mew in the active spot. Is Makani lucky enough?
Let's go.
No, okay.
Nothing.
Another
Their
quick
Irida
ball.
is there, though.
We can't grab the Irida, only grab items.
The Irida's there. It's going to get shuffled back in. So, again, whiffing on that chance. Quick ball. Searching through. Finds the Origin Form Palkia. It seems like Makani has been offered these really awkward situations where you want to get a certain board set up. You want to focus on certain Pokemon being properly set up ahead of time, but has been forced to adapt on the fly constantly to get attackers in play, to maintain threat potential. And now in game number 3, this is probably, you know, the most cobbled together plan yet, with no Radiant Greninja, no ability to get the Battle VIP pass turn 1, just a couple attackers and a Bidoof against the world. Jeremy as well has yet to fail on completing his turn 1 setup with this Mew deck. Goes for the Avery just to draw 3 cards. Did it come together?
Do you see a quick ball to go along with that Mew V? But it's going to be a little struggle of a turn. Maybe a Cramomatic Heads will be able to find that Battle VIP pass. But I do like the way Makani started their turn, fetching out that Mew. You know it's actually going to stick around for a turn, because with the way Jeremy has their Mew V built, Mew Vmax built, it's impossible to take a knockout turn 1.
Okay. And when you have the Mysterious Tail available, that's just a couple more cards that you can see to really turn the tides of this board setup. And because there was not that overbenching, you know, the Avery didn't force any discards like we saw in game number 2. And there's the Cramomatic into a Tails. So Jeremy finally struggling to complete the setup after all this time.
I think Jeremy needed a shuffle from the quick ball.
I see. Yeah, I was anticipating going back in, so it didn't shuffle right away.
I like the confidence. You know? Like, I'm going to flip heads on this Cramomatic, so I'm going to go back in. And Makani was like, no, you're not.
But now this hand is getting thinned down pretty severely. Rotom Phone to put a much-needed card on top. Trekking Shoes looking pretty nice. Oricorio's there as well.
4 bad cards. Ultra Ball still gets things going here, I believe.
Yeah, so Jeremy has to evaluate, do I want to discard, you know, these cards in my hand, or can I save them for later? Jeremy has so consistently got the setup, but already demonstrated, especially in the first game, how cautious of a player he is willing to maybe try to take a turn off just to see what the opponent does, to wait and get a setup. This Mew deck is based more, again, on disruption and reacting to the opponent rather than trying to brute force a game plan. There's the Genesect V for 1, and it was Oricorio off of the Rotom Phone that was selected.
Already having the Ultra Ball in hand, all right. We'll have to discard a Cross Switcher here and the Oricorio. But finding that other Genesect, you have to do it, and it's rough, but you have to.
Pulls the trigger on the Ultra Ball to get the Genesect V, draw it back up to 4 cards. We know that the Oricorio has been so important just because it forces Makani to have that extra little bit of a resource in order to hit those knockout numbers. But Jeremy, I guess, is feeling that with, you know, this Moonlight Shuriken play that we've been seeing consistently, the Oricorio protecting the Mews isn't really going to be that big of an issue. So now drawing cards, another Ultra Ball for more thinning.
And another Cross Switcher hits the bin for Jeremy. And having to discard 2 in 1 turn, not where you want to be, but you got to do what you got to do. Get those Fusion Strike systems in play, draw some cards, and set up for what potentially could be a pretty good turn from Makani.
Jeremy being forced to make some very tough decisions around these discards here to complete the setup. I think that the last 2 games have shown that Jeremy, even though he wants to be a bit more cautious, needs to respect the threat potential of this Palkia deck, so wants to have a strong base, a strong way to draw more cards and respond to the aggression from a Palkia V-Star and Ice V.
3 Cramomatics, a Silene, and the Mew Vmax for that Rotom phone. Calling and no one's answering. The Mew Vmax could potentially just be the card to put on top, and then you pass the turn, maybe retreat to a Genesect. Not too sure, but looks like maybe that Rotom phone could be the card, or the Cramomatic could be the card picked.
Cramomatic certainly would be a big gamble. Here in the top 8, sometimes you need to take some big risks when you know what your opponent is up to, especially in, again, this third game. Yeah.
Making sure.
Making double checking, that this final Genesect V hasn't been used yet. So we can draw 2 more cards from this position.
And opting not to play that Pokestop
3 cards,
down.
right.
Oh, those Battle VIP packs come in a little too late.
They are fodder for this Cramomatic that was grabbed, and it is a Tails once more.
And this hand has been a little awkward for Jeremy here, while he has drawn through a ton of cards this turn.
Yeah, and Makani just evaluating the discard pile, seeing the trail of broken dreams that were left behind from the Ultra Balls and these Cramomatics.
Adam, have you gotten a chance to look at Makani's hand? I just want to say, that's a pretty good hand.
Now we're going to get a real game. Still not done yet, though. Jeremy discards the double turbo energy, but finds Trekking Shoes off the Pokestop. Power Tablet being offered by the Trekking Shoes. There are 2 in the prizes, so we definitely need this one.
You kind of have to believe what Jeremy is going for here. Digging through all these, even discarding the Power Tablet.
Want it, finds the Mew VMAX.
And with 2 prize, that means 1's left, and this is going to be a rough game. But Makani's hand, you got that B-Barrel. You got that Origin Form Palkia V-Star. You got the Stadium. You even have the Canceling Clone if you want. And we're going to see a fresh 5 cards off this Industrious Incisors. And you already have energy in the discard for that Star Portal, and this has been
beautiful.
Yeah.
Great 5 cards drawn. Has the Capacious Bucket to thin even more to find these water energies. Also has the Trekking Shoes available. Both players really approaching this match in the same sort of style. Just drawing tons of cards, thinning through as much as you can. But Makani is the one that's forced to be aggressive. And that's the big stumbling block we've seen in this best of 3, where Jeremy kind of has a bit more of a luxury to sit back and wait and gather up all the pieces after things have fallen into place. Makani is sort of laying down the train tracks in front of themselves as the game is progressing, trying to capitalize on these windows of opportunity. And sometimes you're 1 or 2 cards short of truly making it happen. Trekking Shoes keeps the Palkia V.
2 water in the discard for Makani here. Plays that Irida. So we'll be able to find that Ice Rider VMAX first time in this match. It's going to come out and come into play.
Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX does also have the much more substantial 320 HP. Jeremy already missing out on a couple Power Tablets. Going to be difficult to take down once this enters the active. Going to force Jeremy to maybe get around it with the cross switchers.
Still having access to Mysterious Tail is also a pretty nice benefit. And this is the power of going first in this matchup. Jeremy did everything he could to get the full setup, get what he wants out of the deck, get a hand built to where you want it. But then Makani's just going to show up, take a knockout, hopefully take a knockout next turn, and then just needs that last knockout for the game.
Yeah, the first 2 games Makani was opting for, again, the Moonlight Shuriken, trying to set up 2 knockouts on a 3 prize Pokemon, but now with a proper offensive core, now it's just Genesect V, Mew, Genesect V, very easy standard game plan here. Ice Rider being powered up, evolved, equipped with a choice belt, the air balloon onto the Mew with the free retreat, takes down Mew V and 2 prizes over to Makani Tran.
Ride of the High King taking the knockout. Makani is now 4 prizes away from making it into top 4 here. But if Jeremy has anything to say about that, it has to be now. The Vmax is going to be a little harder to take down, 320 HP for that bad boy.
320 HP. These are the sorts of numbers that decks have kind of shrunk away from being able to achieve, right? You're trying to hit that 280 a lot of the time to take down the most well-known V stars. We know that it is possible, you know, with the choice belt, with a bunch of power tablets, but Jeremy had already been forced to expend a lot of those resources to discards just to complete the setup. You want to have that sort of, again, a cautious angle of being able to directly respond to your opponent's aggression. So here is the first Fusion Strike system for 5.
Those are cards you not really want to see. Double Boss's Orders, Cross Switcher, Battle VIP Pass, and a double Turbo Energy. So a lot of gusting available for Jeremy here.
I wonder if there is going to be some sort of desperate play to, you know, boss up the Bibarel or something to try to buy some time, because this is looking pretty nasty. This Mew VMAX goes down. You have no choice but to promote the other one into the active, and it just makes it so difficult to properly engage with this line. If Makani takes down a Mew VMAX, that's 1 prize remaining, and then whatever you happen to have on the bench just becomes a delicious target. Going to bring up the Palkia V-Star, something that's much easier to get through than this Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX.
Most of the time. With that 1 power tablet being discarded already and then 2 in the prize cards, that means there's no real way for Jeremy to take the 1-hit knockout outside of a Silene heads, put a power tablet back on top of the deck. Choice belt and 2 power tablets is that magic number, and as it stands right now, Jeremy is unable to reach that number.
Has looked through the deck extensively, knows what the resources are available. Another Genesect to draw back up. We have the choice belt. Now we just have to find the final pieces of the puzzle. Have we seen Silene yet?
I don't think so. Only access to 1 more Genesect.
Pokestop finds a choice belt, a Cramomatic, an Ultra Ball. This is what you need to get the cards that you desire. So what gets discarded with the Cramomatic? We need a hedge. Jeremy's been flipping tails on all the Cramomatics so far this game. Needs to come through here when all the chips are down. Goes for the Ultra Ball, trying to thin down first for this final Fusion Strike system.
And with the discard of the Marnie, you kind of have to expect that Jeremy is going for that Silene. Maybe hoping just to get that extra damage with those power tablets. Still needs to find that 1 power tablet left in the deck. We saw it on the bottom there.
All right, and there is the shuffle. And then Makani's also going to shuffle. Where's this power tablet going to end up? Goes for the Cramomatic to thin down even further. Rolls off screen. Oh, and it is a heads.
Wait, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was playing it like I was Silene. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
you're good.
Oh, yeah,
just
so he
brain
rolled
farted.
twice because
Yeah,
I
it was
thought
okay, it was
that the other dice roll was
Okay.
like invalid, but
Yeah.
he rolled twice
no,
as
no,
though it was a Silene.
yeah.
Again, this is an incredibly
Wow.
high-pressure situation for Jeremy, so that's understandable. You can see he's already thinking about the Silene, and once you're zeroing in on a play like that, you start to hallucinate a bit.
Well, the hallucinations came true. It wasn't a mirage. Silene was on top of the deck at least, so
Cards in hand.
oh, it's going to be rough because there's only 1 power tablet in the discard. Jeremy was unable to find the other one and might have to rely on Pokestop finding 2 power tablets off the top of the deck, one with Silene and the other just...
Do you have the time to wait 1 more turn? The Pokestop was already used. Is that double boss?
No, so the cross switcher
Okay,
brought
okay.
up the Origin Form Palkia. The boss will bring back that Ice Rider Calyrex VMAX.
Now I'm just paranoid.
And with that, it is a Technoblast to deal some damage, but it is very scary for Jeremy here. Makani is in full position to really take control of the game. Star Portal still is available to them. And honestly, yeah, it's looking brutal.
Yep, going to fill up the bench here. We still have a damaged Ice Rider in the active. Again, we're 3 prize cards, so this is an angle for Jeremy to kind of come cracking back into this game. But already the prize map is looking a bit dubious. You get this 3 prize knockout, then a 2, then a 1. But are you going to have time, especially with Makani already ahead in prizes and tempo here?
Ultra Ball finds a second Bidoof for the bench, most likely.
Yeah, again, just filling up, facilitating this boosted bench damage once this Origin Form Palkia V-Star comes back up into the active. We'll see if Makani does want to retreat this,
Well,
or if you're just going to go for the big, if you're going to go for the big shot. Double checking the discard pile again. A lot of precious resources already used by Jeremy.
5 cards left in deck, 5 in hand. Boss's order is going to bring up what looks like, yeah, that Mew V and this Ice Rider will be able to take the knockout, or even a retreat to the Palkia and Star Portal will be able to take the knockout here.
Ride of the High King knockout.
And
Yep, so there it is, Ride of the High King. 2 more prizes for Makani Tran.
just 1 knockout away from punching their ticket into top 4 here.
And especially with so many Pokemon on the bench, no longer is the Origin Form Palkia V out of the equation. The Averys were discarded long ago in order to complete the setup, so now there's no bench limiting potential from Jeremy. We've got Mew Vmax in play. We can have access to Techno Blast, but we're still relying on a couple more power tablets to finish off this Origin Form Palkia V-Star. Silene, Tails, Silene, Tails!
Oh.
Those cards will remain in the discard pile. No power tablets to get back.
That has to be rough.
Was probably hoping to grab an Avery, maybe try to set up for next turn or something. But there's still the power tablet in the deck. Finds it here off the Trekking Shoes.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a next turn, Adam. Knockout taken here with the Cross Fusion Strike.
Yep. Of course, smartly promoting the Mew. So you get the Mysterious Tail, but just has the full bench. Just needs to quickly set up for this Palkia V-Star. The Star Portal has not been used this whole time, and you can really see it's like night and day, having to use the Star Portal just to desperately hang on.
There is that second cross switcher, and with that and the Star Portal ability from that Origin Form Palkia V-Star, that is going to seal it up, and Makani Tran moving up in the top 4 here at Baltimore.
Wow.
And who would have thought Ice Rider gonna make a showing going in top 4?
So amazing. This Mew deck has put up such great numbers for Jeremy over the course of the game. But here in top 8, Palkia with the Ice Rider technology is the way to do it. We've talked about it before, Jeremy, where the Palkia decks just struggle so much to reach their numbers. And they're like, okay, well, I'll run Choice Belt, and then I'll run Leon, and I'm going to run Echoing Horn. But no, if you just have a backup attacker to build around, it just makes it a lot easier to have a split threat against your opponent.
And a lot of players, after seeing how Worlds shaped up, they took a look at these Ice Rider lists and were like, wow, this actually has a very well-positioned part in the metagame going forward for this tournament. And Makani is showing off well here.
Yeah. Congratulations, of course, to Makani for fighting all the way up to the top 8 and now advancing. A lot of games went down in the meantime. And so, as we said, we have this rematch from Andrew Kannett and Piper Lepine, who's going to be on that Radiant Charizard box. I'm really looking forward to that one, too. But still so many heavy-hitting matches to show up here on stream.
Yeah, and congratulations again to Jeremy. First seed for most of the weekend. Unfortunate that their run ended in top 8, but pretty good finish nonetheless. Let's go ahead and take a look and hear from Makani themselves.
Thanks, Jeremy and Adam. That's right, I'm here with our top 4 competitor, Makani Tran, punching his way in with the Ice Rider Bibarel deck. Kind of a choice for this event that I don't think a lot of people were super hype on. And funny enough, it becomes the best finishing Palkia deck. What do you think about that?
I think the list is really solid. I feel like it has a good matchup against almost everything. It was mainly from Grant Manley's list. His 11th place Worlds list, I think. Yeah, I just changed like 2 or 3 cards, I think. I've just been testing it for the past like couple months at my locals and stuff. It just felt really good, so I decided to play it and it went well.
Well, and since it seems like your testing has definitely paid off, getting here to the top 4. Pretty wild 3-game set there, especially a lot of stuff happening there at the end of game 1. Why don't you just kind of talk us through what ended up happening there? Obviously, you were awarded a double prize penalty, had to take 2 less prizes to win that one, and how did that really affect how things turned out?
So basically, he attached he already attached that turn, and then he like went to it for another attach. He asked the judge, he's like, "Hey, did I attach it?" And they're like, "I believe so." So he attached. He like went through his turn, drew cards with Genesect and stuff, and then like that turn, like later that turn, the judge is like, "Oh wait, we checked the VOD. You actually attached twice in one turn." They had to like go over it. We were like going through the scenarios and stuff. They're like, the head judge came over and he's like, "Yeah, we can confirm he attached twice in one turn. So he's gonna have to get the double prize card penalty." It wasn't like a huge problem, I guess, because I think I had a good chance of finding the double cross switcher left in deck, but like it did make it so it was basically impossible for him to win anymore. So like that kind of sucks for him. Like I feel kind of bad because it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, these things do happen. We've seen some mistakes this weekend on stream. It's part of the game, right? You know, you got to actually play the cards out, and things just don't always work out to the best of your abilities. So now, with this deck moving into the top 4, you'll be playing either Nicholas Moffat or Isaac Milaski, whoever wins that game, which will be another Mew matchup. It seems like it went well for you here in top 8, or is this a matchup you're okay facing once again in top 4? You think it'll play out similarly?
I hope it'll play out similarly. Going first, obviously, is really helpful in this format. I think it's an okay match. It's slightly favored, maybe. It really just depends who goes first. I feel like whoever goes first is probably a bit favored. It's like a 50-50, I'd say. I feel pretty confident going into another Mew. We'll see how it goes, though. Yeah.
We will definitely see how it goes. Well, congratulations, Makani. Great to hear from you, and best of luck in your top 4 match. Casters, we'll send it back to you.
Makani is definitely riding high from that victory in top 8, now moving up into top 4, facing against one of the other Mew decks left in this top cut here. And so far, it has been quite a show. A lot of different decks have been outperforming what we thought, and now it's going to be down to, 4 different decks in top 4?
That is what you love to see. A great mixture of decks, some rising stars, some new names cementing themselves in Pokemon history, especially here right at the beginning of the season. It just means we have a lot more, strong players to kind of carry the torch and to look forward to. But again, it also comes with a little bit of that new player feel. You have to get adjusted to being in the limelight and being in this high pressure scenarios on stream, and those mistakes do happen. So I think that they've all learned a valuable lesson, and we're just going to continue punching up through the bracket.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we are going to be taking a short break. We're still waiting on one more match to finish in our top 8, but after that, we will be right back with our top 4 match. Welcome back, Pokemon fans. Jeremy Jallin here yet again with Adam Skarzig-Watson, and we are at Baltimore Regionals now going into our top 4 of the weekend, and we are still waiting on that last top 4 match, but our players are already ready.
Yeah,
so
we've got the other side of the bracket
Yeah.
still advancing and ready to go. But if we take a look here, we just saw Makani Tran advance to that top 4. And as we found out from off stream, Andrew Kannett and Piper Lepine have already solidified their spots in the top 4. But we're waiting on a ruling to figure out who's the winner of Isaac Milaski and Nicholas Moffitt.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how that shapes up. But with time being called in the round, it's going to be a little bit interesting. You got 1 win for Nicholas Moffitt and then 0 for Isaac, but Isaac still can win that game. They're tied 2-2 prizes. Depending on how the ruling goes, we might see another kind of sudden death game 3.
Right, because again, there's no ties here in the top 8. We have to decide a winner. Somebody has to advance. There needs to be a definitive winner, and that's where this sudden death prize taking scenario occurs. We aren't entirely sure what happened down at the table, of course, but the judges, as we've already seen from the last game, they're working overtime to make sure that everything's going as it should, and they're going to make sure that that game is resolved, hopefully pretty soon.
It actually looks like we're going into a tiebreaker game right now, so that's going to be a little scary, a Mew tiebreaker mirror match.
Oh, whoever takes the first prize wins. And I know it's funny because like in the classic Mew mirror, that was kind of the name of the game regardless. Whoever got their Meloetta set up first was just irreparably ahead. But now we have this more intricate matchup potentially for a mirror with like Avery and whatnot trying to disrupt your opponent instead.
Well, enough about that top 8 game. We are on to the top 4 here. Let's go ahead and take it down to the table. You have Piper Lepine on the left, Drew Kannett on the right. Let's go ahead and take a deeper look at these players.
Yeah, I know that this, again, is a rematch we saw earlier from the Swiss rounds that were broadcast on stream. Piper has been doing amazing during this tournament. And of course, top 32 at NAIC, a lot of top 32s and some kind of older regional champion wins under her belt, but this is going to be another fantastic start to the 2023 season just to make it here to the top 4.
Yeah, pretty crazy 2022 for Piper there. She just put on a very consistent performance the entire season and really showing up with this Inteleon toolbox deck, that Radiant Charizard, that Inteleon with its Shady Dealings and Aqua Bullet, putting in a ton of work, and ever since Worlds really just came in its own as a deck.
This is a list that has a lot of intricate sequencing, a lot of shuffling. Like regarding like the Muse that we've been seeing all day, this was sort of the progenitor of that, having just a classic list that seems you have access to your full deck at any time. Meanwhile, Andrew Kannett, who's also been popping off top 4 in the Vancouver Regionals, trying to get another big win under his belt for the 2023 season.
Yeah, 2-time regional champion, the law firm, Andrew Bennett Kannett, trying to make it 3 times here this weekend, playing that Regigigas deck with that new addition from the Pokemon Go set that we saw really benefited at Worlds in that Pokestop. And honestly, he's been very lucky in certain times, but also just very consistent in this tournament.
Yeah, the Regigigas deck, similar to the Radiant Charizard, was a bit of an unproven anomaly.
This is a little awkward prizes for Piper here. That Radiant Charizard to go along with the Twin Energy and a double Drizzile.
And also the rare candy, so a lot of the stronger options for this deck to really get out ahead being found in the prizes. This is in perfect contrast to their first game 1 on the game we saw on stream, where Andrew had to scoop immediately after prizing some very important pieces as well. But here, with extra time, extra ability to play out the matches, no needing to feel like you need to save that time, a winner will be decided. We're going to see both players just play their heart out.
And here we go. Top 4 at the Baltimore Regional Championships. Andrew gets to start off the game going first, has that Aurora Energy, discards the Tool Scrapper. Other than that, though, the hand not looking too hot, just a pass of the turn.
Yeah, just a very slow start. The Regigate, at the very least, can use Regirock can use Regigate. That's the that's the unknown Regigate, Regigate. But anyway, Piper again still fighting, doing the similar just Sobble play and attach with the Manaphy. Goes for the keep calling to complete the setup. Once you have all the Sobbles on the bench, all in play, your next turn is going to be so explosive where you're able to get all of the cards you need to hopefully get an Inteleon down soon.
Yeah, again, she's going to have a little bit of bad news. Going to see those prize cards. This deck really relies on that Inteleon engine to attack, search for cards, attack again, get things going. And with 2 Drizzile prize, it's going to put a lot of pressure on those scoop-up nets and alike to really reuse shady dealings.
Fortunately, Piper does pick up the early Manaphy, going to hold back the Regieleki from using that spread damage and putting it onto the bench here. But yeah, Andrew's hand is not good. Just has to go for a Marnie here to shuffle down, draw 5 more cards, and try to complete this Regi setup. Regirock being set up in the active just for Regigate. But here we go. We get a Lightning attacker.
That does mean Speed Lightning Energy will be able to draw 2 cards for Andrew here. And does find, wow, the Regidrago and a Quick Ball, just missing 1 more piece of the puzzle, that Regigigas.
Now with Pokestop, we might be able to find that final piece. Just goes for the Quick Ball, yeah. So it's all coming together. In their first best of 3, we saw Andrew Kannett very consistently get this setup down, and because Piper again missing the rare candy, missing those Drizziles, the ability to get an Inteleon in play and start threatening with Aqua Bullet is going to be very difficult. And with Radiant Charizard as well at the very tippy top of the prizes, not going to come down until much later in the game. If you can't start taking your prizes immediately, you can't get your other attacker. So just extrapolating from there, it looks like this first game for Andrew could be pretty easy as long as he completes his setup.
Yeah, again, just checking what is prized, looking to eye down that Registeel. Yeah, with Pokestop, it's a little bit hit and miss in this deck. It is very good discarding the energies, getting those items that you need to search for your Regis. But you could also discard those important Regis, especially when you don't play as many of them as the other ones. So like 3 copies of the Regidrago, 3 copies of the Alecki. You don't mind discarding those, but anything else, it's a little rough.
Yep, Pokestop gets rid of the path to the peak, but gets a scoop up net, a great way to get this Regirock out of the active if Regieleki is wanting to attack here in the next turn or 2. Generally, when you kind of whiff on completing your setup, you kind of need to sacrifice a Reggie in the active and hopefully have the pieces to get it back from the discard pile.
Reggie Gate.
But yeah, Andrew Kennett's just going to go for Reggie Gate here to find that Reggie Gigas. And now with Reggie Drago just needs to be put onto the bench, and Ancient Wisdom will be available.
Yeah, not too bad. And we have an update for our last top 8 match. Isaac did pull out the win. So winning game 2 in time with that penalty, but then finishing that tiebreaker game for game 3. Now he's going to be off and facing the Ice Rider.
Oh, man. To have a mirror match like that come down to the wire, right? Game 3 at time, sudden death. You know these players are very equally matched. I don't think that you could expect anything less from a mirror match at this high caliber of play. But back to the top 4, we've got the Sobble set up, again, with a fire energy and a water energy, primed and ready to become a Drizzile and into an Inteleon, but just going to put up the Mew instead to Mysterious Tail. Again, with those Drizziles prized, missing that middle stage is very difficult.
Yeah, the quick ball was able to fetch the Mew, and Piper retreated into it to find that Evolution Incense. The only way to really get a Drizzile for this turn, her hand wasn't very good off that Marnie, so thankfully this Evolution Incense will be able to open it up a little bit more, but it's going to be awkward looking through that deck.
There's only one copy of Rare Candy in this deck, so it has to be a full evolution line. We don't get that tempo of being able to skip right into the Inteleon and have that surprise threat of the Aqua Bullet. And you can see Piper evolving Drizzile from this energy-attached Sobble, I think is kind of really telegraphing to Andrew, yeah, I don't have the Rare Candy, I'm just going for a perfect setup. Furthermore, with the Drizzile being put onto the Sobble, you don't get to use the scoop-up net the way you would like to recycle that evolution as well.
Yeah, that is really big too, especially the scoop up net being found with the Irida, and Piper is going to have to take it really slow here. Rare Candy is one of the ways you can actually jump out of the gate and get some damage going early against a deck like Regis, and does have the Magma Basin to bump that Pokestop, but now it's back to Andrew, and he does have a pretty stellar hand. Professor's researched that Reggie Drago to finish that Reggie combo, and a scoop up net to go along with it.
I think the only missing piece here is to get these Aurora Energies into the discard pile, but with 2 manual attachments onto this Regieleki, you know, it's up to 3. So once we get this Regirock out of the active, should be pretty easy to get that powered up, and now we have a lightning attacker raining down onto these Sobbles as they cry under a waterfall. Even though Manaphy is there to prevent the bench damage, once you take the first prize just naturally attacking the active in a single prize matchup, this is so important for Andrew.
100%, and Andrew actually uses that capture energy to find the other Reggie Drago with its ability, just a much better card in this matchup, and having that access on the bench pretty nice. And there we see that Professor's Research, 7 cards.
Also, I just want to point out the quick double check, 7 cards drawn. Players, the judges are eagle. Everybody's super cautious now, doesn't want to make a mistake at this point. Every player we've seen so far on the stream is trying to just add another notch to their belt or have that first breakout regional win.
And there we see the knockout with
Terra
that.
Spark.
Yep, Terra Spark. Unable to do bench damage. That Manaphy putting in a lot of work, and we'll have to see what Piper can do here. Does bring up the boss's orders with that shady dealings. Maybe we can be eyeing down a quick knockout with something like that Galarian Zigzagoon.
I also do like the placement of the Magma Basin here. You want to bump that Pokestop, but by getting the Magma Basin down, you are kind of just bluffing to Andrew. Well, yeah, I've got this Radiant Charizard. Don't forget about that, even though it's in the prizes. Radiant Charizard is a card that typically does come down much later in the game, so Andrew isn't going to get the read on it just yet that it might be in the prizes the way that he would, say, with a Rare Candy, right now that the Inteleon is finally fully evolved slowly but surely here.
Looks like Boss's Orders and Hisuian Heavy Ball are the trainers of choice for Piper. She's going to be going back in with Level Ball to find that last Drizzile. the Hisuian Heavy Ball can find that Radiant Charizard from the prizes. And as long as oh, the level ball will get the Galarian Zigzagoon instead.
Ooh, so trying to get that ping, trying to set up a little bit of cheeky damage here, again with the Aqua Bullet, right? In order to kind of catch up now in the single prize race, we need this spread damage to be able to set up 2 prize cards in 1 turn. Piper could even use this Heavy Ball to get one of the Drizziles over the Radiant Charizard. She had stated earlier that the Aqua Bullet has really been doing most of the heavy lifting for this list.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, with Hisuian Heavy Ball, can only grab basics
Oh,
from
oh my
the
God,
prizes.
that's right. Oh my God, that's right. You're absolutely right. I'm just trying to gaslight chat. I'm testing their Pokemon knowledge.
Yeah, it was a test. And y'all failed. No. Oh, thankfully with that shuffle, both the Drizzile are down at the bottom here. Probably the best case scenario for Piper. Gets to play down that Galarian Zigzagoon. That Radiant Charizard, Magma Basin to it.
Yep, just having this extra attacker available, even though Excited Heart is going to discount this attack a little bit. As long as you have the 1 fire energy, we're going to see just manual water energy attachments to keep this Charizard up and running.
Yeah, and that was huge, having that extra water energy in hand. Remember, there's only 5 energy total in this list, but having it gets the knockout, 20 damage on that Regidrago, which Drew is kind of forced to promote because it helps him draw cards.
And I love the split threat now from Piper. You have this Radiant Charizard slowly ticking up as you attach energy to it as Andrew takes prizes. But if Andrew chooses to chase this down in order to, head that off at the pass, Inteleon is still already set up with 2 energy and can just come right back into the active, take another knockout with the Aqua Bullet.
Now, Andrew has to find an Ordinary Rod and then a way to grab that Regirock from the deck yet again. Has all the ball search in hand, but missing that Ordinary Rod. Is going to need to thin the hand down, maybe draw some cards with the Regidrago and try to hit it. There's 4 of them in the deck.
Yeah, so just even going to fail the ball, you know that he's thinning down for the Dragon's Horde ability. You can draw up to 4. Maybe there's a way to get a Pokestop as well to get a little bit of extra digging into the deck. Goes for the Heavy Ball. Going to take a look in the prizes, try to calculate, okay, how likely is it that I'm going to find the Pokestop? No basics in there. Basic Pokemon, of course, as we all know, is the only thing you can get off of Hisuian Heavy Ball.
Yeah, the prizes aren't really going to be doing much for Andrew here. Nothing really you need in there as of right now.
And after taking that first prize as well in the single prize matchup, you feel so favored. But the trick there is to be able to consistently keep up your pressure. And now we're missing 1 piece of the Reggie puzzle.
Oh.
Dragon's Horde for 1.
Yeah, Drew had the option to play that Speed Lightning energy, draw a couple cards before the Dragon's Horde, but really just trying to sequence it the best way possible. And yeah, that hand a little awkward, but the Marnie is going to have to pull a ton of weight here, needing to find an Ordinary Rod and a Quick Ball at least.
Let's go. If anybody can do it, it's Andrew. Scoop up net. Oh, never mind.
That hand's terrible.
I just know that, players that are running this hot to make it all the way to top 4 in a regional, when the chips are down, they draw the cards they need. But this is just a really unfortunate brick. It's similar to Piper's List, where if one of your attackers goes down, one of your pieces goes down, you have to jump through some hoops to fish it back out into the deck and get it into the hand. Decides to go for the scoop up net to pull this Regidrago back. What is going to be promoted? Just the Reg Ice.
Something that you don't mind getting knocked out. It does have 130 HP, I believe, so will require another Galarian Zigzagoon ping to take the knockout with Aqua Bullet.
Ah, that is true. The Galarian Zigzagoon was in hand before it got scooped up earlier. We'll see if another scoop up net can be found to maybe make some space for it. Get that extra 10 damage, because if Andrew can send up this Reg Ice, get the the space to buy one more extra turn to prevent a knockout. He still stays ahead in the prize exchange. But Cross Switcher is going to be the card of choice, and to scoop up net on the Drizzile to bring Inteleon back up into the active. We now have space on the bench for that Zigzagoon for later if Piper chooses not to re-bench. But now Regieleki is going to go down, and one more prize going to Piper, and she's going to pull ahead in the exchange.
Piper is a machine with this deck. She is piloting it perfectly for her outs and setting up knockout after knockout. And with a matchup like this, now Piper is going to be the one kind of controlling the tempo of this game.
With Inteleon coming through, that's now 2 Regis missing from the puzzle for Andrew. You've got to still recover the Regirock from the discard pile. We've got to find another Regieleki in order to turn that Ancient Wisdom back on and promote an attacker to take down the Inteleon. And now this spread damage just makes it that much harder for this residual damage to come through. You can see Piper's already fixing the math. The Regigigas has above that 120 HP, so you have to do that additional homework in order to take it down. It's actually at 150.
And finally, Ordinary Rod is found for Andrew here. He's going to be able to shuffle back both those Regirock, and with an Ultra Ball in hand, he's going to be able to find it. And finally, Ancient Wisdom is online yet again.
The Regieleki has been, the prime target in this matchup, and it just keeps going down, keeps offering up prizes. I don't know if Andrew is going to maybe try to adapt the strategy at all for Regieleki to just kind of be like a final combo piece from the hand, right? It just comes slamming down rather than getting set up as a lightning attacker. Once you get the Ancient Wisdom down, we can maybe start relying on things like Dragon Energy to get the knockouts instead.
Energy Lotto, looking at the top 7, you get to place an energy from there into your hand.
And finds the Capture Energy. This will be good for fishing out a missing Regi piece if need be, but already an Ordinary Rod used to get the Regirock back. The setup is once again reestablished. All the Regis working in harmony here. Dragon's Horde for one more card. Another Ordinary Rod's great to see. And here comes Ancient Wisdom to power up this Regidrago with its Giant Fangs attack, 160 damage. The other Drago with the other attack. Still plenty to take down this Inteleon.
And with that, Drew now ties it up, but he is behind in the prize race. And with no disruption other than that Marnie, it's going to be a little awkward going forward. There's the Clara, though.
Oh my goodness, this is so strong. The Clara going into the discard pile to put the Pokemon right back into the hand and the energy. That means this Drizzile with a Fire Energy attachment can immediately become Inteleon, get 2 more cards with Shady Dealings, and then with a manual attachment from hand, we've got another Aqua Bullet. Piper not missing a beat.
Play level ball. Ping the active.
And there is that Galarian Zigzagoon to get that extra 10 damage needed for the KO. And just another Shady Dealings. This is what this deck does, and it's pretty great to watch it do its thing.
And as Piper starts getting access to the prize cards now, those Drizziles are going to come, the rare candy's going to come, and now the cascading momentum of just, well, now I have another Inteleon, I have this Aqua Bullet, it's constantly raining down, it's just going to put Andrew so far behind. It's not just about having attackers available, you need to get all of your Regis back from the discard pile as they keep getting sent there. Scrapper just to thin down, getting rid of the choice belts.
And,
both of those cards really do not matter in this matchup, so might as well get them out of the way.
And slowly but surely, Piper creeping in on a victory here in game 1. Still plenty of time left on the clock, but Andrew's not going to go down without a fight.
Might go down with 3 Ordinary Rods in hand, though.
Pokestop to bump the Magma Basin. Has the rebench on the Regidrago. Ancient Wisdom back online. So we can take a prize from this Inteleon, but now as Andrew fights to catch up, he's turning this Radiant Charizard into an additional attacking threat. Capture Energy, double speed lightning, turns Terra Spark back on. Manaphy still on the bench, reminder, so we don't get that damage onto the benched Pokemon here. Just KOing the active, having to play this a lot more honest, whereas Piper with the Aqua Bullet and the Zigzagoon can get that additional damage onto benched Pokemon and fix that math for future turns.
Adam, I feel like we've seen this turn before. That's going to be Raihan to get the energy attachment. Find that Inteleon. You got Shady Dealings yet again. And we're going to see another Aqua Bullet, maybe even Scoop Up Net.
Piper, as you said, is a machine. It's an Inteleon assembly line here at this point. The rescue carrier just getting a couple missing pieces back. All the pieces are in play. Piper just has to execute. She's been running hot all day. Was the only player to take a game off of the first seed heading through the Swiss rounds, and is now here in top 4, looking very comfortable in this first game. Going to close it out here. And in her own words, felt this was not a favored matchup for this deck, but has managed to consistently pilot her way into these winning positions versus this other single prize Reggie Gigas deck.
Yeah, if you think about it, Piper's record of 13-3 is really 15-1. She scooped against 2 matchups that are very favorable for her, and put her in this position to where you kind of run through the bracket and you're like, oh, okay, top 8 matchup, that's an auto win.
Okay.
This matchup, it's back and forth, but everything else, you pretty much put in cut, and she's saying, yeah, I have the deck to beat this tournament.
Having such a massive buffer of points from the Swiss rounds where you can then be a gatekeeper,
Yeah.
you know, you're the bouncer outside of the top 8 to go, I like this matchup. I'm going to scoop and try to give you some points and get you in here.
Just open the door for them.
But overall, again, we see the execution at play. Inteleon once again taking another prize. These 2 damage counters just being distributed onto the Regis just makes every subsequent KO that much easier. Andrew Kannett going in with the Ordinary Rod, getting the Regieleki back into the deck, and a Regidrago now just has to get them back into the hand to re-establish this setup. The Capture Energy will do just that. Reg Ice pulls the Regieleki from the top, and now we have the shuffle. Ancient Wisdom's online. The KO goes through for the Inteleon, and then Charizard is ready to come screeching up into the active spot whenever he so chooses at this point. We have 2 options, right, with a Drizzile on the bench and Radiant Charizard for this Inteleon to maybe just revive back from the discard pile.
Oh, it is Charizard time, baby, and I am excited for it.
Radiant Charizard, exactly what this deck is built around. Inteleon sets the stage, does so much heavy lifting, and then Charizard comes through at the end to claim all the glory and pretend it was him all along.
Shady Dealings.
Now Piper does find that Inteleon yet again off that Evolution Incense, finding a Raihan and an Air Balloon. So she has plans, and it's going to probably be attacking with this Inteleon yet again, maybe.
And I love the pickup of the Air Balloon there, just in case there's any sort of stranding play, trying to cut off with the scoop up nets. You still have a way to retreat and still get that line. You also need the Air Balloon, right? Because once you use Radiant Charizard's attack, it can't attack again.
Yeah, and this whole game came down to Drew missing that 1 turn of Ancient Wisdom. His hand not really able to do much, and because of that, Piper was that 1 turn ahead. And this is where you have these single prize decks put in a lot of work, because you can buy a little bit of time against those V-Stars, those V-Maxes, but against another single prize deck, there is no time to waste. If you miss 1 turn, it will swing the entire match.
Forcing your opponent to keep up with you beat for beat is not something that we often see. It comes down, as you said, much more to a specific prize map. But here it is, both players just throwing haymakers at one another, taking prize after prize. Andrew's deck has a little bit more of a clunkiness to it, where it doesn't have that direct search. You're just trying to draw tons of cards with research and Drago, and you just need your deck to come through for you. Another Ordinary Rod to find that missing Reggie once more.
Again, this Ordinary Rod shuffling him back. Andrew is going to hope to find him with something like another Capture Energy, Quick Ball, Ultra Ball of the like. And again, this will turn on the Ancient Wisdom, but it's just Drew's 1 turn short.
Yeah, just using the double ordinary rod here to thin the hand down. Still thinking about using this Dragon's Horde, but you have to swing in here to take down this Radiant Charizard. Only 160 HP, still well within range for these Regis to knock out. And after the shuffle here, we've got to now get this back to the hand.
Now, Drew does have that Professor's Research, so we'll be able to draw a brand new hand of 7 cards, hoping to find that Regidrago. Granted, there's 3 of them in the deck, so most
Beautiful
likely we'll
pickup.
find it. But again, as long as Piper has access to 1 energy, it seems like, the game is going to be over. So Andrew's really just playing to his outs, has to hope Piper does not have it. And
Yep, and so we just get the knockout here with the Regice hitting for weakness.
Shady dealings.
And now the Mew comes through, and
Clara.
Inteleon is here. Clara finds the Radiant Charizard and the Fire Energy to get the final knockout. And even though it came down to 1 prize apiece, Piper was ahead in tempo after that misstep earlier from Andrew where you have to take a turn off to reassemble your Regis. And once again, the machine takes the first game, 1 win away from advancing to the finals.
yeah, couldn't really do much else other
Yep.
than that. Played it perfectly. Was able to capitalize on Drew missing that 1 turn, like you said, and he's going to need to tighten things up a little bit. Make sure to draw those ordinary rods at the right time, not save all of them for the end of the game.
And I mean, this is exactly the sorts of matchups I think players really like. Kind of a return to a little bit of an older style of Pokemon with the single prizers. You're taking 6 knockouts rather than these bigger games that are done after 3. But with these lists also having access to modern engines of consistency and setup, it's a nice mixture of the old and the new, where you think that just the fact that this Regi deck exists is kind of a miracle in and of itself. You'd think that having all of these different basic Pokemon all on your bench at the same time would be some insurmountably achievable meme that is just, oh, you just do it for fun, or maybe you get your Regi set up once every handful of games and you start to pop off with the Ancient Wisdom and having tons of energy wherever you like. But it's been proven, I think, at this point, top 4 in the Masters division here in the Baltimore Regionals. Regi is a solid deck that does demand some respect. And when you hit this matchup, it's, this is ironically its weakness, right? Is going up against another single prize deck. You want to be up against the lists that are focused more on only needing 3 knockouts or so in order to end a game. And when you force them to take 6, buying yourself a couple extra turns of play is so important.
I was a little worried for Drew there, having 2 Regidrago in the prizes, but starting off with the Hisuian Heavy Ball, grab that right away.
There is 3 Regidrago, fortunately, but yeah, that is great to get the Heavy Ball. Also shuffles it back down to the bottom of the prizes, so that could come back in case that other Regidrago needs to be broken out of the prizes. Energy Lotto being found here, 1 energy to add to the hand.
It's looking like it's going to be that twin energy, and it's probably just so you can retreat this Regice next turn, maybe get some draw with that Dragon's Horde.
Yeah, Piper also starting with a Manaphy. Andrew really wants to get the knockout on this Pokemon if possible. Being a step behind the way he was in the first game, didn't have the luxury to really chase down the Manaphy so that the Terra Spark from Regieleki could start breaking down some bench damage.
Showing off the 4 Professor's Research just hiding out on the bottom of the deck.
All together. Yeah, going to try to shuffle that quite nicely. But now we're only missing Regigigas. Again, it's the consistency of achieving this setup is something that Andrew has demonstrated that is very easy to do in the first couple turns. But repairing the setup once the knockouts start coming through is the difficulty.
Yeah, the difficulty also is Drew's hand. It is pretty bad. You got that Choice Belt that does nothing in this matchup, and an Ordinary Rod that you do not want right now. Thankfully, with that Twin Energy found off, that Energy Lotto will be able to retreat and draw a few cards next turn.
All right, so we've got Quick Ball now. We can find the Sobble. The foundation of Piper's setup, of course, is getting that Keep Calling down on the opening turns to fill up the bench, get the Drizziles all ready to go to fill in the gaps and start threatening the Inteleon. We thought that Piper's list would be a bit slower in game one with that rare candy prize, with the Drizzile prize, but Andrew just unfortunately wasn't able to really get that opening tempo, and we saw Sobble just slowly evolve into a Drizzile, into the Inteleon, get the double manual attachment, and just immediately become an explosive threat that Andrew just couldn't really deal with.
Well, there you have it. The keep calling, like you mentioned, Piper able to start off her turn. All right, there's no supporter or anything like that. A little awkward there, but next turn, you kind of have to expect that a Drizzile is going to come down.
Yeah, even with only a portion of the setup, we know that this list is quite strong. But look at this. We finally have the setup completed. The Twin Energy being used to retreat the
that's
Reggie
so awkward.
Ice. And then a draw off the Dragon's Horde. Going to boss's order up the Manaphy. So Andrew now finding himself in a much stronger tempo position, but not enough energy in the discard pile. Wait, the Twin Energy plus...
A capture, yeah. So just colorless energy available for Andrew here. So unable to actually attack even though you lined up that Ancient Wisdom. And looking at the hand, it is very bad.
Yeah, we need the
double
Aurora
Ordinary
Energy.
Rod. Yeah, double Ordinary Rod in hand, and then a couple Pokemon and stuff that don't really do much of anything right now. And Piper senses the
Tragic.
weakness. The gears are turning, and we're going to see a rare candy Inteleon.
Yep, Irida for rare candy plus the Inteleon. This tech has become so popular even outside of these specific like Charizard box lists. Just having that one of rare candy to get that emergency Inteleon shady dealings has been so strong in a lot of decks if you have the slots to include it.
This is just domination from Piper right here.
So unfortunate that Andrew had the setup, had the boss for the Manaphy, but didn't have the Aurora energies in the discard pile to truly capitalize on that knockout. So here is the scoop up net to put the Manaphy back down onto the bench, and here comes Inteleon.
And with that, Piper has now started the ticker, basically. You need to start taking prizes right now, and if Drew doesn't, then it's going to be rough. Wow. Professor's Research off the top of the deck for Drew. It's going to be a little awkward having to discard the other Ordinary Rod, being able to use the first one to shuffle in that Regidrago, but at least you get to play the game.
Yeah, the biggest problem has been so far is getting the Aurora energy set up, and when you're trying to complete the second half of your deck's goal while trying to keep these Regis all in play, still trying to keep up with the tempo and take prizes so you don't fall too far behind, it is just incredibly taxing. If Andrew can't get a return knockout this turn and Piper pulls 2 prizes ahead, it's going to seal the deal on this best of 3.
Oh, this is so awkward. So you can discard energy with that Aurora energy and be able to use any attack you kind of want, but you want the draw 2 with the Speed Lightning as well. Scoop Up Net is able to pick up the active. So what Drew could have done was Aurora energy, discard the Speed Lightning, Scoop Up Net the Registeel into, or no, he's still missing the Regidrago, yeah. This
has to get
awkward.
that one back. Incredibly awkward for everything to fall apart here at the top 4. Going to scoop up net the Registeel, promote the Regieleki. With one Speed Lightning energy attached, it can just use one of its attacks, but it's not going to be dealing any damage here.
Yeah, going to be able to pick up any trainer card from the discard, but Drew opting just for the scoop up net, trying to save it.
Going to promote the Regigigas instead. A little bit tankier with the 150 HP. The Galarian Zigzagoon is already down. Does force Piper to have a little bit more resources in order to get the knockout here. So maybe, you know, the Regigigas grandfather can hold the fort for one more turn, and it looks like he does hold.
But for what?
Yeah, with the 120, 120 damage coming through with the Regigigas, it means that 20 damage from the Aqua Bullet once it's back on the bench, plus the Galarian Zigzagoon, will just be a prize that Piper can collect later, especially in response to Andrew having to use a couple scoop-up nets there. Won't be able to reset this damage Regigigas very quickly. Quick ball to discard the Aurora Energy, finally getting into the discard pile, and we have to find the other Reggie that's missing from this equation, the Drago.
Yeah, and having only access to 3 scoop-up net in the list, that means Andrew just has 1 left, and if he's able to find it, it's going to be pretty good. He won't be too far behind in this prize race, but if not, it's going to be rough goings going forward.
Yeah, the Regigigas bought some much-needed time, but now Andrew needs to capitalize, and this has been, unfortunately, the theme of this best of 3, where Andrew is just a half step behind every single game. Reggie Drago, Reggie Alecki in the hand. There's an attachment to Regigigas. Ancient Wisdom now online. With the Twin Energy plus Ancient Wisdom, the Regigigas can use Gigaton Break, but then you're just setting yourself up for that return knockout.
Yeah, I guess really going for that air balloon in the list to retreat this Regigigas. Does not find it off the 7 cards or the scoop up net to go along with it. Still has that Pokestop to maybe dig a little further.
Pokestop, 3 cards, deciding Andrew's fate here.
Nope. 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 Oh.
Yeah.
And with that, it's just going to be too hard for Andrew to overcome. And Piper Lepine punching her ticket into the finals of Baltimore Regionals here to start off the season. What a way to do it.
Inteleon Radiant Charizard, a deck that only a few players believed in, got a little bit more shine during Worlds, and Piper picked up on that immediately, has been piloting this deck like a master. I would not be surprised if she invented this list. That's how clean she's been playing this entire game, this entire set, the entire Swiss rounds. And again, one of the only player to take a win off of our first seed heading into the top 8.
Yeah, pretty insane to think about. And now she has to go up either against Mew, Vmax, or Ice Rider. Honestly, both of those matchups seem kind of good for her deck.
Yeah, the congratulations, of course, once again to Piper. And who knows if her little shenanigan there at the end of the Swiss rounds maybe did allow her to find a favored matchup here going towards the end. She already had to overcome the Reggie matchup, one that she wasn't confident in being able to win, but seemed to go through it pretty easy breezy. I mean, Andrew Kannett, of course, big congratulations to him as well, going all the way to top 4 against an incredibly stacked Swiss, where 35 points is the cutoff to make top 8 is absurd. You know the caliber of play is so high when you need to get that many points to overcome a field of 1,000 players to get to this point.
Yeah, and doing it with only 1 Registeel on the list.
Oh yeah, the secret tech, only 1 Registeel.
That's honestly why he scooped in the Swiss rounds, having that Registeel and that Hisuian Heavy Ball in the prizes. Can't really do much with that.
But yeah, Registeel is kind of, you know, the oddball, the least useful Reggie. So by cutting one of those, you take a little bit of a bigger risk, but having an extra card elsewhere can make or break a matchup.
Yeah, well, we are ready to hear from the machine herself, Piper Lepine, and hear just all about this tournament and what she has looking forward to.
Thank you very much, guys. I am joined by Piper, our first finalist here in Baltimore. First thing I want to ask, and something the casters are talking about, you made it through Swiss really, really comfortably, and then you basically allowed some games to maybe not be played out fully. How has that paid off? Because you seem to have been running through the top 8 and top 4 pretty quickly.
Yeah, so round 14, I scooped to the Miltank Morpeko stall control deck that I thought it was a good matchup, so I scooped it into top 8, and then I ended up hitting it in top 8 and had a pretty swift 2-0 there. It's a really cool deck and all, but it's a good matchup for me. I have like a lot of outs to that. And then round 15, I hit Nick Moffitt playing Mir, and I lost game 1, and we only had about 30 minutes left in the game, and I knew I couldn't win 2 games in Mir, so I assumed it would be a tie at best, and if I tied there, I probably would have been first seed and he probably would have been 8th seed.
Okay.
And I didn't want to hit mirror in top 8, so I just ended up scooping the whole thing to have some time and relax before cut.
Yeah, honestly, perfect tactics throughout Swiss. It's something we don't get to see very often, but it has worked out super well in your favor. Obviously, top 4, you run back into the Reggie deck. We saw you play it earlier. And in that game, obviously, Drew's prizes were up for debate a little bit, right? He prized the Hisuian Heavy Ball and the single copy of the Registeel.
Yep.
Some people were saying that was decisive, but how do you feel that matchup went differently? You played out 2 full games, but you felt in control the whole way. Is that how you saw it, or was there anything you were like, oh, I have to navigate this?
Yeah, so game 1, my prizes were awful. It was double Drizzile and Rare Candy, as well as the Zard and Twin. I think those are all the relevant ones. So I was looking through my deck, I'm like, okay, well, this is basically lost. But then he missed an attack, which allowed me to get a... So when I got the first prize off of the Intel, it was a Drizzile. And then he whiffed an attack, so then I was able to get the second Drizzile off the prizes, which really swung the tempo back into my favor because I also was winning the prize trade. And once I have the Drizziles, I'm pretty able to like get the consistent attacks off after each time they get killed.
Yeah, it felt like you just, I mean, single prize decks, you get ahead in the prize trade, and you didn't miss a beat after that, so it plays really, really well. Let's look forward around. Obviously, the finals is coming up next. They're still playing, but you do know the 2 deck options you've got to play against. It's either going to be that Mew or the Palkia with the Ice Rider. Is there a preferred option, or are you just comfortable against either of them?
I'm not completely sure on the Palkia Ice Rider list, but it sounded like they were playing something similar to Grant Manley's Top 16 Worlds list, which means there's probably Cologne, which can get like really awkward when they boss or switcher Manaphy, Cologne, and Radiant Greninja my board. But mirror match is like extremely luck based. If one person, it's basically first person to intel attack, usually ends up winning. But so yeah, I'm not really a fan of hitting either.
I think you'll be fine. Honestly, you've been on an absolute tear this tournament. The guys on the desk were saying it feels like you constructed this deck. Like, how long have you been playing it, and what made you kind of stick with it for Baltimore?
I've been really busy with school. I'm in my senior year, so I played about like 5 games with the deck before this weekend. I saw Ross's list from Worlds. I liked it a lot. I played an Inteleon box to Worlds. The deck just seemed fun to play, and
Jeremy. Piper the Machine Lepine. Machine Lepine? We're changing the entire pronunciation here to make these jokes work, people. Work with us.
I don't know about that, but it's going to be a pretty great finals to see. We're still waiting on that other top 4 match, so we have a little bit of time to talk about how this tournament has been. This day 2 has been lovely so far, seeing a ton of great Pokemon play, and this weekend in general, it has been a long weekend for sure, but these players are so close to finally crowning our champion here.
Yeah, you go through a grueling day 1 of Swiss rounds, and even before we got to the top 8, we had bonus Swiss rounds to take care of. There was even a few going on before we started our broadcast. So these players have been playing way longer than it even seems if you've been tuning into the stream this whole time. And as with so many players who are trying to get this important win, the pressure begins to mount after you're already fatigued from playing so many games, and that is further compounded by the caliber of opponents that you're seeing. Even matchups you feel are favored or matchups that you planned for aren't always going to go your way. And when your opponent is fighting tooth and nail for these important points to achieve their world spot for Yokohama, you know, even those easy matches are going to be incredibly mentally taxing.
Oh, for sure. These players need to make sure they're hydrated, have their food. Piper has a little bit of time right now. Go get something to eat. Maybe you don't want to ruin the flow. I know a lot of players actually don't like eating during tournaments just because it will mess up how they feel.
Yeah, I mean, some players want to kind of stay in the zone. They don't want to get sluggish from just having a big meal, especially once you get that adrenaline pumping, you're feeling really good. And then, of course, you know, like me, I'm pretty superstitious. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, you got to do your rituals and stuff and just stay in the pocket, get these wins, get these clutch plot armor protagonist level top decks in order to secure your spot.
Listen, all I know is after this tournament, no matter the result, a a lot of these players are going to go out, celebrate maybe some crab cakes. You know, crab cakes and Pokemon, that's what Maryland's all
yeah.
about.
Yeah, good old crab cakes. I'm actually a crab cake fiend. It's like, you know, special fun fact about me, I guess. But let us know what decks you're looking forward to, how much you love crab cakes using #PlayPokemon. Very important that you keep up with us on the social media accounts because we're here for you at home. Thank you so much for your patience as well. We've had a lot of judge calls over the course of yesterday and today because we have so many up-and-coming players when they're under the pressure of the spotlight. The thrill of being on stream in front of so many viewers for the first time. There can be some errors here, but the judges have been working overtime to make sure everything is good. But yeah, make sure you let us know how thankful you are for this competitive season the way I am.
Yeah, listen, it's the first tournament of the season. You got to shake off those cobwebs. It's been a long time since Worlds, you know? Like, it's not 3 weeks ago or something like that.
If you didn't go to NAIC and then get the invite to Worlds, maybe you actually haven't been playing a lot of Pokemon in the meantime. As Piper said, she's been busy with school. A lot of our competitors certainly would be in that same position.
Yeah, and this is the season to do it. Remember, Yokohama is that goal at the end, the World Championships, and it's the first time in Japan. We're going to hype it up all season. You're going to get sick of hearing it, but honestly, I can't get sick of hearing it at all.
No, absolutely. The hype, I was there at that moment when it was announced, and we brought the house down with the noise in the room. The walls were shaking. Everyone was so excited.
Okay, before we sign off for the day and bring you our finals match, let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket one last time. See how things are shaping up. Isaac is up 1 game against Makani right now, so looking a little good for Mew Vmax in that spot and hopefully facing Piper in the finals.
Yeah, it's been a grind, like we said before, Jeremy. A winner must be decided. There is no time out. Once we get to the end of time, we have a lot of special rulings that come into play to make sure that there is a decisive, definitive winner in this top 4 match to decide Piper Lepine's opponent here in the finals at the Baltimore Regionals.
And just take a look at that. The 2-0, the 2-0. Are we expecting another 2-0? We're going to have to see. And it's not going to be very long before we get there. Hopefully, you know, you never believe what you hear, but well, we'll get there. And don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Be right back, because we'll be right back.
For the last time today, welcome back to Baltimore for the Regional Championships. We've got one more game to go. It is, of course, the Masters Division Finals. I am Adam Doricott, joined by the ever-knowledgeable, ever-lovely, a fantastic partner I've been with all weekend, Chip Ritchie. Ooh, what a game we've got.
What a game we've got, and what a weekend we have had so far. So many exciting matches, players putting it all on the table, and it comes down to this one final match, the Masters Finals. We're going to be seeing Piper Lepine and her Inteleon Radiant Charizard deck going up against Isaac Milaski and the Mew Vmax. Is it time? Is it finally time for Mew Vmax to win a North American Regional Championships?
I think you forgot that Inteleon can have other partners. It can be paired up with the Radiant Charizard that's been so phenomenal. But Mew, this new build came to the fore at the London Open, has been sticking around, and a bunch of players leaned into it. We've seen so much of it on stream here this weekend, and it's always done really well. It is a formidable deck, a fantastic new build. But this Radiant Charizard been bubbling under the surface. I think it's really interesting, actually, that in London we had two really big historical name players run these decks, and then Ross, of course, running the Radiant Charizard, and then of course Pram running that new Mew, and now two new players, two younger players, not been in the Masters Division quite as long, have latched onto it and have brought it to the final table here in Baltimore.
And speaking of which, let's take a look at what these players' paths looked like to get to this point. Their journeys through the top 8. Isaac Milaski taking a 2-1 victory over Nicholas Moffitt in the top 8. The top 4 match winning 2-0 over Makani Tran, who we did feature in the top 8 live streamed match all the way here in finals. And then Piper starting at the bottom there with a 2-0 over Jack Moore, 2 over Andrew Kannett, and looking to make another 2-0 happen here in the finals, no doubt.
I mean, those games for Piper have been prompt dispatching of her opponents. I think in both ones I was perusing the tables for top 8, and within a few minutes Piper was sort of stood up like, yep, we're good to go. We're going to take a little break before top 4, and obviously, as we saw here on the stream, taking care of business once again against Drew Kannett when it came to dealing with that Reggie deck. Reggie falling at the final hurdle. I've not been able to talk about it yet this weekend, but this deck also really exciting. Having a look at Piper's achievements, look at those performances in 2022. Top 32, top 32, and top 64, so really good international finishes. But back in 2015, taking care of business in 3 regionals, looking to add one of those here in the Masters Division.
Of course, playing the Radiant Charizard Inteleon deck, this being Piper's first full year in the Masters Division. She picked things up with kind of the weird half season in 2022, having some really strong finishes, and everyone recognized, okay, she is a solid, very good player. And it was just a matter of time before she finally broke through to the top 8, and here she is in the finals.
And speaking of breakthrough players, we also have Isaac Milaski, her opponent in this one, running that new Mew variant. Last year, having a top 32 finish in Milwaukee, but in 2018, some really good finishes at Regionals too. Top 4, top 8, top 16 across Roanoke, Philadelphia, and Anaheim, respectively. So a player who did age up not too long ago, not one of those with like 5-10 years experience in the Masters Division, being able to put on good performances. Mew VMAX with the Pokestop, giving up those Fusion Strike energies in lieu of the double turbo and a lot more useful item cards.
And the big story here is those powerful item cards and the fact that you can access them so easily with the new Pokestop Stadium. This deck only made possible thanks to that new Pokemon Go expansion.
Well, the prize is hitting, and one big noticeable one, therefore, Piper, is going to be that rare candy.
One of.
With, there's only one in the deck, and it's not going to be accessible for very, very late. Cross Switcher, Sobble, Raihan, a card that's been very, very important, along with Scoop Up Net and an Engie. But for Isaac, it's going to be kind of a pretty balanced one. One of the Battle VIP passes, a couple of balls, Quick Ball and Ultra Ball, respectively, a Cramomatic and a Genesect, along with the trekking shoes. So nothing too drastic, I think, in the prizes for either outside of that rare candy, which could slow down some of these explosive turns that we've seen from Piper in her previous streamed rounds.
And here we go, Adam. The match is underway. The Masters Finals. And Piper is going to kick things off, starting a Sobble, getting this game underway.
Yeah, going to want to get that bench nice and full. Looking at the options in the hand, just an
Just
immediate
a pass.
pass.
Not much working for Piper over there on turn 1.
Yeah, but the Oricorio is in the active for Isaac. He's probably going to be a longer turn here, I think it's safe to say. Plenty of work that he can do. We can already see a number of options in the hand. There's the trekking shoes, taking a look, discarding the boss's orders, and grabbing that double turbo energy right off the top. I already know that he's got more to go in this one. There's plenty of options to discard, actually. I think some of the damage numbers aren't needed as much. The cross switcher being discarded for the Chromatic, which is going to come up at tails. So Isaac, you're going through a number of options there in his hand. But he's now looking, at things he may want to try and switch around. There's another cross switcher in there, but the quick ball is something he's looking at and lingering over. So giving up on a pair of cross switchers. Finally, he gets to go in the deck.
And there's one in the prizes as well. So cross switcher really not going to be an option for Isaac this game unless we see some Silene shenanigans bringing them back. I do think this hand looks pretty weak, though. These last 3 cards, not things that I feel like are playable. Maybe can draw 1 card from the Fusion Strike system. This turn looks very, very different because Isaac flipped tails on that Cramomatic.
I think the Cramomatic would have been huge there. And giving one of those cross switches kind of makes it obvious how Isaac wants to play this game, right? He wants to be able to just attack whatever is in front, and he should be able to very easily get that knockout. Drops the 2 power tablets, attaches the double turbo energy, so that Oricorio will be able to retreat later on, but nothing off that Fusion Strike system for 2 that he's feeling really good about. That said, Piper is now able to play a supporter. She's going in the deck with the Irida for a water Pokemon. That's something that would be really beneficial in this matchup, and an item card as well. So I think we're actually going to see quite a large turn out of Piper here.
And we definitely could see a keep calling to close this turn out, and I think her grab of the Drizzile here maybe signifies that. That is an option. For the next turn. She could evolve the active this turn, but by holding onto the Drizzile, using Keep Calling, filling the bench up, she's going to have a much more powerful turn 2. Turn 3, excuse me.
Yeah, we're getting a good few turns into this game. Quick attach into the Keep Calling, a quick look through the deck as well, a check of the hand, maybe just making sure some of those counts are good. But we are back over to Isaac with the Oricorio.
What a top deck there. That Ultra Ball makes Isaac's hand actually playable. Otherwise, he just had Boss's Orders and Cross Switcher, was going to just have to Fusion Strike system maybe for 1 if the top deck was playable. So the Ultra Ball lets him thin the hand out quite a bit more, and we can see 3 new cards.
And one of the Pokemon he's going to grab off that Ultra Ball, of course, discarding the 2, is the Mew V. So it does need to get one of those rolling as the attacker in this deck. But it does now mean that it's an extra card off the Fusion Strike system, and that could be really, really big here. If you can draw into something really impactful, then you're going to be feeling a lot better about this turn. But neither player really exploding into this game just yet. There's the Fusion Strike system for another Mew V, a Pokestop, and another Ultra Ball. So the Pokestop may have to go down if he wants to keep playing this turn. But for now, I mean, there's no immediate threat over on Piper's side. Here comes the Pokestop, immediately activated for an Ultra Ball, a Battle VIP Pass, and the Cross Switcher as well. That's a lot of cross switches are gone here, so Isaac is not going to have access to that.
That is
any
that
point
4th
in the
copy.
game.
It was Piper that had the copy of Cross Switcher in the prizes. So I think Isaac probably just going to be fine to discard it, unless he really wants to hold on to it for Silene or something like that.
I don't know about that one. It's going away with that Battle VIP Pass. That's going to allow him to go back into the deck with the Ultra Ball and pull up another Genesect V. That means there's another round of the Fusion Strike system available. I'm going to be able to draw up to 5 this time, so those hands looking a whole lot healthier after the use of that ability. That said, still missing another energy attachment if you did want to go after this Sobble in the active. Doesn't look like I'm seeing any energy come through. The only one that we've seen so far, the double turbo, being thrown down onto that Oricorio.
You're going to have to wait a turn as well, since both of these Mew came into play this turn, and this deck does not have the explosive power of Meloetta. There's no Fusion Strike energies, anything like that. It is totally reliant on these Mew VMAXs being able to have a turn to come into play and evolve.
Now, and Isaac retreating the Oricorio, discarding the double turbo energy, putting the Mew up. It's going to be easier, a bit harder, for Piper to knock out that Mew V than it is that Oricorio, which I think would be a lot more. That Oricorio also providing longer value on the bench with its ability being able to put up a little bit of defense. But another Irida for Piper Lepine, so able to find more pieces of things that are required. A Drizzile and the Hisuian Heavy Ball, the option here. Hisuian Heavy Ball diving right on in there to take a look in the prizes and see what pieces she would like to grab. There is, of course, that Sobble in there, so full complement of Sobble on the field, and confirmation, of course, that the rare candy is in there.
Yes, and that is a big deal in this spot because otherwise Piper would be able to theoretically launch an attack off this turn, could Rare Candy into Inteleon, use that Shady Dealings ability to fetch out an Energy Search, which would then grab the energy card needed, and then could let her swing with an Aqua Bullet. Now this turn, it's not going to really be much of an option for Piper to do any damage at all. I don't think we're going to be seeing any double spins.
No, and then you did note the Rare Candy in a much more favorable position with most trainers drawing their prizes bottom upwards. A lot of Shady Dealings coming through, the Mew also hitting the bench, maybe trying to get some Mysterious Tails walked in, an Energy Search coming through as well, immediately being played to grab that Fire Energy. So Piper getting a lot of energy out, but access to the Inteleon is going to be a little bit of a stretch right now. This is going to be another turn where Piper doesn't get to attack and gives Isaac a little more wiggle room to try and set up one of these Mew Vmaxes.
And this is kind of how Piper's deck functions most of the time. It's not very aggressive, though you can have the option to go in quickly with Inteleon, with the Rare Candy. It really is a deck that does not mind going behind, does not mind playing from behind, and it really does get powered up the more prizes your opponent takes thanks to that Radiant Charizard.
If you give up a few prizes, your Radiant Charizard looking a whole lot better, being able to drop some of those colorless energy requirements. The Mew being put into the active with the Attach and Retreat on this Sobble, then of course the Mysterious Tail activating, and the Level Ball coming right through. That allows Piper to keep on going through the deck potentially, but not this turn as she passes it back to Isaac.
Isaac drawing for turn is a Mew V, so that could fill the bench, so we could see more card draw from the Fusion Strike systems.
Yeah,
and if I'm Isaac and Piper's, not had the quick Aqua Bullet turns, you really want to try to capitalize. Start swinging as quickly as possible, though it will power up Piper's Charizard. You got to start attacking at some point.
Yeah, he is going to start thinning out that hand with the Ultra Ball as well, discarding the Battle VIP pass first and the Switch as the second card required. Being able to go in, grab any Pokemon, of course the Mew VMAX, the much preferred option here. So being able to grab that out and thin the hand at the same time, feeling pretty good. Going to be able to, of course, start using those Genesects again. Fusion Strike system, bringing you up to the full complement of 6, the maximum available, which makes sense when every Pokemon in your deck is a Fusion Strike Pokemon.
Absolutely. One of the most powerful abilities in the game right now and possibly ever. 4 cards drawn at this point. Another VMAX. Battle VIP pass, which we know can't be played. And is that an Avery in hand? That could be pretty decent right now, forcing Piper to discard a Sobble.
Especially with that Mew in the active as well, something that, really doesn't want to sit there too long, I don't think. The Rotom phone coming through for Isaac, grabbing a card very, very quickly, and something he's going to be able to grab immediately with that Fusion Strike system. So that goes onto the top. The next Mew VMAX goes down onto the Mew V. The hand is down to 4. So drawing 2 more, one of the cards he knows about, and the Double Turbo Energies.
Double Turbo.
Yep, it's 2 of them. And of course, now going to be able to start swinging quite nicely into this Mew, but no use of a supporter right now. I think Isaac, just weighing his options a little bit here before he commits the attack.
And this would be a great turn for Amarni as well. Piper is sitting on a pretty large hand. Ooh, and are we seeing the Cross Fusion Strike copying the Glistening Droplets, the attack on Oricorio?
This is actually something I noticed him doing a lot in his top 8 match. Wasn't just swinging for the knockouts, being a little more diligent about it, trying to avoid activating that Radiant Charizard too easily, because as soon as you get 1, 2, then the Radiant Charizard can just roar back and really do that damage. But the Glistening Droplets could make these turns a little bit harder, kind of forcing Piper to evolve, and then on the turn where you take the prizes, you're kind of really damaging the whole board at once.
And the real problem for this strategy, though, from Isaac is that Piper loves to evolve all of her Pokemon up into Pokemon that have higher hit points, and then also loves to play Scoop Up Net on them to pick them up. So it almost erases an entire turn of attacking from Isaac.
Yeah, it could be easily removed. How many Glistening Droplets is it going to take to knock out this Inteleon? Quite a lot, with only 20 going down on it right now. That's going to be really big. Of course, the Shady Dealings from putting that into play grabs the Cross Switcher and the Energy Search as well. Oh, there is that Scoop Up Net. So that damage already gone. Sobble goes back down. Drizzle going back down for another Shady Dealings. Piper's just going to be able to grab so many pieces of this combo that are needed.
And this is what Piper's deck loves to do, build up a large hand size, being able to fill it up turn after turn with Shady Dealings after Shady Dealings after Shady Dealings so that she can respond to whatever Isaac does on his side of the field.
Yep, the air balloon coming through from that first Shady Dealings, being able to kind of keep going on that one. And that deck for Piper is already looking rather thin, so finding the pieces not going to be the big concern, and that hand is looking pretty significant as well. Piper, of course, attaching the air balloon to the Mew that's stuck in the active, and a pass. So Isaac's Glistening Droplets only leaving 3 damage counters on this Sobble.
So he will be able to take a knockout on it now with another Glistening Droplet, so he'll at least score a KO there. But I'm almost wondering if it's more valuable to take out this Mew now, especially that it has an air balloon. And I think that's why Piper has gone ahead and attached it, forcing Isaac to either choose, okay, you can KO a Sobble on the bench, or you have to take out my pivot with this Mew.
Yep, and the Marnie,
Huge.
cutting Piper's massive hand down that she'd accrued over the last few turns with all of those Shady Dealings and the Iridas as well, dropping her right back down to 4. Of course, knowing that the Inteleon was in hand as well from that scoop up net last turn, getting rid of that, a really, really big help. And honestly, Piper's hand not looking so hot now
No,
after that Marnie.
Her hand is not looking good at all. She's really going to be riding on this Mew, so I bet she is crossing her fingers right now that Glistening Droplets is what Isaac is hoping to do here.
Yeah, and Isaac going back in the deck, trying to have another look through, not taking anything on this one, though. His deck's also pretty thin. I mean, both of these trainers absolutely rattle through. The Quick Ball was the choice there, and, you know, just not required. Just making sure that you're thinning the hand a little bit more before you use this Fusion Strike system. So Fusion Strike for 3 cards, back up to the full handful of 6. You know, definitely gets you out of a Marnie. If you have a bad Marnie, at least you've got an opportunity to maybe draw up your hand. These, you know, he's got all the pieces right now. The Mews are both evolved, both powered up with those double turbo energies. Feeling pretty good about this one. So is able to decide what to do. Is going to be another Glistening Droplets, I believe. So yeah, just not taking the knockout. Isaac holding off on those.
And Piper does find the Drizzile off the top deck. That will be very useful, but not before using Mysterious Tail, looking at the top 6 cards, and does find a Scoop Up Net, which could heal this little Sobble from all the damage it's accrued.
Yeah, it is going to be evolved into the Drizzile first, though. But that Drizzile could come right back into the hand and go onto the other Sobble if she wants to keep digging with the Shady Dealings, obviously. Evolution Incense is going to help finding pieces of the puzzle. It is going to be that Inteleon, another Shady Dealings, this time for 2 cards as well. So grabbing that Energy Search, and of course, let's see what else she goes with in this one. The deck's looking thin, but, you know, knowing that the combo is there to maybe take the first knockout of the game. Going to be the Magma Basin on this one.
And I wonder if she'll, this turn, choose to attack with Inteleon and at the same time put an energy on her Radiant Charizard. Looks like she's deciding against the Magma Basin now, going back for a cross switcher. So many different options when you're playing Inteleon. It's always really difficult to navigate exactly how you want to play each turn.
Yeah, there's so many options, and it does show the mark of a truly top player, those who are able to correctly pick what they need off every Shady Dealings, thinking not only about the current turn, but also the future turns as well. If there's no disruption coming through, you can grab something way more important for the following turn that could, you know, win you the game or put you in a huge advantage. But the Energy Search, grabbing another one of those water energies, that Inteleon is going to be good to go.
And I understand what Isaac is doing here with his line of play. He doesn't want to just feed into Piper's Charizard and really power up that Excited Heart ability, but at the same time, he's not putting on any pressure and allows Piper to take a few turns to get her board build up and then finally start swinging with this Aqua Bullet of Inteleon.
That is going to be the Aqua Bullet that doesn't get to do anything to the bench. That lesson in Zeal being so important here. And being able to get rid of that Aura Choreo would be huge as well. But of course, Piper needs pieces to get there. Needs to be able to, you know, maybe try and catch something off guard a little bit and cause some problems that way. But this Inteleon in the active is causing problems. And now another Glistening Droplets. Aura Choreo being a real focal point of this deck. And Isaac just spreading the damage down, not getting knockouts, not feeding into that Charizard strategy, and making sure that everything has a little bit of damage. So it's going to be 3 there and 2 on the Mew as well. The Mew not getting knocked out right now, though.
So Isaac really playing cautiously, really taking his time, wanting to spread the damage and then maybe build things up to a point where he can take multiple prizes in a turn, I guess, and at the same time disrupt Piper. But anytime any of her Pokemon are that close to being KO'd, she can always play the Scoop Up Net to pick them up. If she wants to, At this point, though, she is really not feeling the pressure and can just keep happily swinging for 100 with Aqua Bullets.
It's going to be the Shady Dealings for 2 cards this time, being able to grab the Irida and the Quick Ball off that one as the Inteleon hit the bench, making that even further away as a potential out. The Scoop Up Net gets rid of that damage. The Drizzile that went back into the hand immediately down for another Shady Dealings. So Piper just grabbing every little piece that she would like in this one. It's going to be the Tool Scrapper in this instance as well.
Just a quick ball it away. What a luxury here, having everything you need already. You can just
that's crazy.
grab cards with Shady Dealings to discard.
Yeah, and thin them out the deck as well. You don't want
Absolutely.
them popping up later if you're really trying to dig through for something. The Radiant Charizard finally hits the bench, and that is something that I think, Isaac's going to want to be wary of. It's not like he didn't know it was there, but now it's been revealed and confirmed. So there is going to be that Sobble going back down. There's the Magma Basin, finally. So being able to, attach into the Charizard, get an energy on it for free, but it is going to be causing a little bit of a problem. So the, it does have to put the damage counters down. Thank you very much. Tidy that one up, and another 100, of course, from the Aqua Bullet.
And now back over to Isaac. 2 Mew VMAX in play, a couple of Genesects as well. The Oricorio, which is becoming the main attacker, it seems, does start things off by bumping Piper's Magma Basin with the Pokestop. One of the most influential cards from the recent Pokemon Go expansion, and it works so well in this Mew deck that plays such a heavy count of these item cards.
Oh yeah, the Pokestop's been absolutely huge for so many trainers over the course of the weekend, finding those missing pieces, finding stuff that you've put on top of the deck as well with something like the Rotom Phone. Just being able to keep drawing through your deck is absolutely huge, finding all the pieces all the time. And it looks like it's just going to be a scoop for Isaac, realizing that maybe he's a little bit behind the pace on this one.
I think Isaac is recognizing that this is a tough matchup for him. He's trying to find a way to do something unique and spread the damage and let that be his strategy to come ahead in this unfavorable matchup. But in the end, Piper can just put on just enough pressure with the Aqua Bullet of Inteleon.
And the Aqua Bullet would get there eventually, very, very slowly, but it would get those knockouts. And, while he's not taking any prizes, those Aqua Bullets are getting closer to a 3-prize knockout as well. So really, really great play. Isaac trying this alternative strategy and it not working. So maybe back to the drawing board for game 2 and just targeting down some of Piper's Pokemon. He is being very cautious. He does not want this Charizard to be going crazy for low energy costs. But I just don't think it was enough pressure at all with Piper being smart. As you said, scoop up net whenever something gets in danger. Evolving it if something gets in danger. I mean, it's a lot of glistening droplets to knock out an Inteleon.
Yeah. It takes quite a while. It's a 4-hit KO if you're putting all the damage on that Inteleon every single turn. And we saw Isaac was obviously spreading things out, really trying to math things out. A lot of times I think players approach these type of unfavorable matchups and try to big brain it, right? Think really far ahead and say, okay, in 7 turns, if I can spread enough, maybe I can make this strategy happen. I almost feel like Isaac's better strategy would just to be super aggressive and hope that he can aggress Piper out of the game. If he can take KOs on Sobbles before she can really get set up and maybe take advantage of a fact if she has a slow start. That would maybe be his best path to victory. We'll see if he makes an adjustment here for the second game.
Well, getting rid of the Sobbles, even getting rid of the Inteleons, gets rid of key pieces that she would need to maybe hit that guaranteed easy Charizard and bring back that Charizard multiple times at the end of the game. There is going to be a couple of noticeable prizes here for Piper. The Choice Belts, both in there, along with a Mew and an Air Balloon, a Tool Scrapper, and a Magma Basin as well. So a number of pieces missing. And opening with the Manaphy, not the finest open for this deck, but it does mean your Sobbles are going to be able to hit the bench. Piper's hand not looking so hot, but we are starting with Isaac, taking that traditional turn 1 start with the Mew, gets double turbo energy down on it to begin with, a Genesect V on the bench, and a number of options in the hand as well. So the Choice Belt, an easy discard for the Ultra Ball. Has to decide what the second one's going to be. Mulling it over a little bit here. It's going to be, I think, he's getting rid of the Cram-O-Matic.
Always a tough call. You hate to lose a Cram-O-Matic because it can be such a powerful card, but of course it is a flip effect. There is always the chance that you could utilize this card. and you flip tails and get nothing from it.
Yeah, but at least it's in your hand. That's a
Yes,
nice bonus.
It is definitely a
for the
bonus.
Fusion Strike system.
Yes, definitely, especially in this deck. Like you mentioned, Fusion Strike system wanting you to have a low hand size so that you can fill it up turn after turn after turn. Isaac now with the Ultra Ball, just grabbing out a Genesect. 2 on the bench now with the Mew V in the active. We can see a Fusion Strike system for 1, and undoubtedly here, Isaac will be looking for the Battle VIP Pass, hoping to load the bench up with a bunch of Pokemon so that he can draw through. Let's see it.
Ooh.
1 card draw.
It's the Mew. And he gets the second one,
2
so
more.
there's a 2 card. There's another Genesect,
Not
a
bad.
Trekking
Okay.
Shoes. He's just digging so hard at this point. He has a Mew VMAX in hand too and a Cross Switcher, which obviously no use on this one. But at least, you know, if he takes this card, he's putting himself at a potential just 2 Fusion Strike system for the 3rd time. He discards the Power Tablet. He draws a Quick Ball. The Quick Ball will get him down to a hand of 1 if he would like. But yeah, he's used 2 already, marking those nice and neatly for us. He's mulling it over. He did give up the cross switches very easily last game, and it's going to be 2 cards off this one. It's going to be the Pokestop and the Power Tablet as well. But that's it for draw. He's played everything he can this turn, I believe. Maybe the Quick Ball could come through, but it's a little bit too late to really access the Fusion Strike system with it, and he passes it over to Piper.
And Piper's hand does have an Irida in it. That can at least get something going for her. And with a Scoop Up Net and Energy Search, we will, at minimum, I think, this turn see a Keep Calling.
Yeah, the Irida is going to be a nice, easy one there to make sure that the beginning of this deck comes to fruition. Getting the Sobble drawn to the front right away, checking through the deck as one does, checking another Sobble. I believe there's going to be another Sobble searched out anyway, so may as well get those on the front. There's all of the Sobbles being counted. There's none in the prize. Is there one in the prizes this game? I believe there is, yes.
I think it's a Mew, actually.
Oh, no, it is the Mew. My apologies. It is the Mew. Taking a look down. So, yeah, the Sobbles coming through. I got confused with the round head of Sobble and the round tail of Mew. It's my apologies on that one.
That key one of Mew as well is something that she may want to fetch out at some point with the Hisuian Heavy Ball. We saw how useful of a pivot it was for her in Game 1. That Mysterious Tail ability, so powerful, just to get you a little extra reach.
Yep, well, Sobble is going to get its energy attachment this turn with that Energy Search, grabbing a Water Energy. There is the Evolution Incense for next turn. The Scoop Up Net puts the Mana Feed back into the hand. And then it's just going to be a Keep Calling to round out this turn for Piper.
Very nice, and chooses not to re-bench the Manaphy. Obviously not useful in this matchup, and not worried about having her lone Sobble KO'd since Keep Calling brings 3 more down. And now we kick it back over to Isaac. Let's see if he goes with the same strategy. He's got 1 bench spot open and a Quick Ball in hand. You think he's going for Oricorio once again?
I think he's going to do it. I mean, it was his strategy I watched at the table during top 8 pretty consistently, and this Glistening Droplets play, you know, does want to get it down, maybe say to Piper, I don't think you're going to be able to evolve all the Sobble as quickly. That is going to be a Cramomatic, discarding the Power Tablet, and heads on this one. So able to go in the deck and grab whatever he needs to complete these puzzle pieces.
Able to grab out anything he wants at this point. I do believe the Mew VMAX is already sitting in hand, and I do believe there was the Quick Ball. So could just go for another energy attachment. No real reason to go for any combo thing like a cross switcher. Obviously, there's just 4 Sobbles in play for Piper.
Yep.
And we know that Isaac isn't really going to be that aggressive, most likely in this matchup, depending on if he keeps to his original strategy.
It could be a hard pivot into something to really get things going, right? You know, I mean, a Technoblast is a little bit overkill, but it would definitely get a knockout. And getting rid of those Sobbles is really big, because the less Sobbles there are, the less things there are that can become an Inteleon.
Absolutely. So he's got 1 card chosen, debating if he wants to go back into the deck. It looks like Double Turbo Energy was just the grab, wanting to go ahead and get another attachment. And Quick Ball does grab the Oricorio out of the deck.
That's exactly Isaac's line, and he's sticking with it. Even though it didn't work out from Game 1, he is confident that this is the way to play this matchup. I mean, it worked out. He did manage to navigate his way through top 8. So, you know, playing up against a very, very similar matchup in the Radiant Charizard. So if it worked from there, why wouldn't it work for him here? Attachment onto the Mew, and he's going to start with the Fusion Strike systems. That's going to be a Fusion Strike system for 5 cards.
A bunch of cards off of the first one, and that is just the first Fusion Strike system. Access to 2 more, assuming he can thin the hand down a bit.
Thinning it down with the Choice Belt, not really going to matter too much, but at least it's a card out the hand. It's not like it's being used for its effect, but it's out of the hand as well. There's a Pal Pad in there, along with the Avery. The Avery not going to do any discard on this turn, so would be nice to save that one a little bit, but it does limit the use of the Fusion Strike system. Could also play down the Pokestop, but it's just going to Fusion Strike system for 1. It's going to be another one of the Mew Vs. Both of those kind of clogging up the hand a little bit right now.
Clogging up the hand, and that's one of the issues with this Mew VMAX deck sometimes. If you don't find your Ultra Balls to thin these Pokemon out, you've only got 5 bench spots, and Isaac is actually going aggressive here. Takes the KO with the Cross Fusion Strike, copying Techno Blast. Down goes Sobble, and Isaac takes the first prize.
Yep, Isaac taking another one of the Pokestops off the prizes, though. So not being in the finest position to keep thinning that hand. His hand looking really full. And so if he's not able to, switch things around, then, he's going to be able to run into some issues. But the Evolution Incense comes through from Piper. Going to be able to turn some of these Sobbles into a Drizzile, maybe able to just chain those as well with Shady Dealings, Shady Dealings, Shady Dealings, and cause problems that way. So the first Drizzile comes through. There's the Shady Dealings for the Irida. The Irida is going to grab a Drizzile and an Energy Search. The Energy Search is going to grab the Fire Energy. And we're going to get a moment of reprieve as Piper figures out what's next before this Drizzile goes down and we see another Shady Dealings.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a play where she could have gone for a Raihan this turn instead of Irida and gotten off an attack with the Aqua Bullet. She really just must not be feeling the pressure to do that, though. Even though Isaac has started attacking, she's okay if she doesn't start swinging this turn just yet. We'll just get the Charizard down, start powering it up, and just prepare for what Isaac may have in the future.
Yep, and there is the Drizzile, Shady Dealings. Going to go grab that Evolution Incense on this turn. And then, doesn't look like we're going back in. There is a shuffle now, so maybe just pausing on that one for the following turn. But the Charizard hitting the bench, once again, makes Isaac scared that if he just takes too many prizes, that Charizard is going to be able to swing for him. That said, Isaac hasn't been as liberal with the cross switches this time, so does have access to maybe try and pull that up early and knock that one out quite readily.
And Piper, with the energy on the Charizard, will make it much easier for her to attack with it on the next turn. If Isaac assumedly takes another KO, it would mean she just needs 2 more energy, which can be supplied by the 1 copy of Twin Energy he has access to. Yeah. But Isaac will play the cross switchers, bringing this up and wanting to target it down. Yeah,
wants to get rid of it very, very quickly. Doesn't want to be messing around. But you know about that Evolution Incense in the hand. And that may be something like, with the energy getting dropped, that's going to be a problem. The Avery's not going to get the discard, but it's going to be 3 more cards for Isaac. And this is a big old hand for a Mew player. No access to the Fusion Strike system, but will be wanting to get that Mew out of there, go back into the Mew VMAX, and just take another one of these knockouts with the Techno Blast being copied.
And could use the Pokestop here, trying to find an Ultra Ball, something like that, a way to thin the hand down, maybe get another VMAX in play. But for now, he is content just holding on to what he's got.
Yeah, it's just going to be the free retreat into the Mew VMAX. That does have all of the requirements now. It's been taken back off the bench. The Pokestop finally hits the field. I do like that one quite a lot. And the Pokestop's going with a Quick Ball. That's going to help thin. A Quick Ball is going to help thin. And an Ultra Ball is going to help thin even more. Isaac able to drop 4 cards from his hand if he doesn't require them and get going with those Fusion Strike systems.
We thought this turn was almost over, and then after that Pokestop, we may be here for a minute, Adam.
Yeah, well, the Ultra Ball is going to be the selection for Isaac that's come to the front of the hand. And he's looking at what's in there, what he doesn't need any longer. He's going to play that down. The Mew V probably only needs 2 of those in this game anyway, unless he's trying to find a late option. And it's going to be the Genesect going in first. And there it is, the Mew V. Finally confirmed. So he's thinning out the hand. Is going to be able to get that Mew VMAX, which is immediately going to get played down onto the Mew V. And his hand's already looking a little bit thinner. The Quick Balls can get rid of some of the other stuff in there that he really doesn't want to be holding on to.
Shuffling the deck up now. This Mew has retreated and come back into the active, so it is ready to attack, even though Cross Fusion Strike did copy the Techno Blast on the last turn. I also wonder if maybe this is an opportunity for Isaac to use these cross switchers and then now go for his Glistening Droplets play, or will he just go for the knockout? And that is indeed what he does.
No, and he takes the boss's orders this time. So plenty of options there. Down to just the 2 Drizzile and the Sobble for Piper, but this deck does have the opportunity to swing back rapidly. Evolution Incense coming through right away, and she's already pulling other cards. The combo will be coming through, as it's going to be the Raihan immediately drawn off that Shady Dealings for 2 options from this deck. Just mulling over number 2.
Also has access to maybe grabbing something like a Scoop Up Net or an Evolution Incense to use another Inteleon this turn.
Yep.
Potentially that other Drizzile was already in play as well. It does make things a little awkward that the Charizard is in the discard pile because Piper can't Clara and then Raihan, right? Can only play one supporter a turn, so she's got to fetch the Ordinary Rod with this Shady Dealings and then maybe find a Quick Ball to get it back or just go in with the Aqua Bullet. This also works as well. Of course, you cannot one-hit KO the Mew VMAX with the Charizard. It only deals 280 damage when it has a Choice Belt attached.
But
And the Aqua Bullet will soften it up.
yeah, definitely softening it up is going to be the order of the day here. And you're not going to be able to get any spread down from the Aqua Bullet because of the Oricorio's lesson in Zeal. So the second portion of Raihan being completed now, searching out the deck for any card to put in the hand. It looks like the Evolution Incense was there. The Energy Search makes a lot of sense, though. Get that next attack out and start Aqua Bulleting right away. There is, of course, going to be that put in the hand. The Ordinary Rod comes through, so that Radiant Charizard got to be a candidate, along with that other Sobble as well. That's going to get shuffled back into the deck. It doesn't look like any energy left to be able to put in there, but Piper, before she completes this play, is going to be just checking the discard of Isaac.
Yeah, has the one fire energy in her discard pile, but wisely chooses not to put it back because she wants to keep that as a live attachment from the Magma Basin Stadium for later in the future. So no reason to throw it back into the deck. You're going to have easy access to it later on.
Oh yeah, that's where you want it to be. So you can Magma Basin and some other shenanigans as well. There is now both the energy down onto this Inteleon, so Aqua Bullet is certainly an option. And there's the Declare, 100 damage being put down onto this Mew VMAX. This is where Piper needs to start rolling. You know, got the Charizard back in the deck. That's going to be absolutely huge. And, of course, options for the rest of the game. So just tidying up the board a little bit. Isaac taking a peek at the discard, just trying to see where her lines of play are and if there's any resources he's truly got rid of.
Isaac was asking Piper how many cards she had in hand, so that tells me he's really thinking about going for a Marnie play this turn, trying to disrupt what she has available. But little does Isaac know, Piper's hand is actually not the strongest. It's okay. She's got Rescue Carry to maybe get back some Sobble pieces and Evolution Incense to get out Inteleon, so it's really all she needs. But it's also the type of hand where putting the bunch of 6 cards, whatever it may be, onto the bottom of the deck is still going to be okay.
Yeah, very clean play here from Isaac, showing the Quick Ball and the 3 associated discards that he's going with. So that first Quick Ball is going to be the Pokestop getting discarded. Then the second Quick Ball is going to be the Mew V being discarded, checking the discard before he makes his choice on this one, as he does look like he's going to be checking a discard once again. Obviously, he knows he's got the Power Pad in hand, so could be a little liberal with discarding those supporters as well. And the boss's orders hits there. So 3 Quick Balls coming through. Isaac is going to go through the deck, but of course no basics remaining, I don't think, that he can actually grab. And just failing that one, thinning the hand beautifully though. That is going to be a follow-up of the Pal Pad, so that boss can go right back in, and potentially that Marnie that you were talking about as well. But looks like he's just mulling it over, just making sure it's all getting put in the deck.
And then we will maybe see some Fusion Strike systems, maybe digging for the Marnie. Might not quite have it in the hand yet. Would love an opportunity to disrupt, slow Piper down a little bit, and take a knockout on Inteleon. So Scoop Up Net is no longer an out for her to do a bunch of things with Shady Dealings.
Yeah, definitely a number of things that Piper's shown go into the hand, right? Like the Evolution Incense was pulled, but not used. And I think that's something Isaac's very aware of and a little bit scared of. Does start off with the Fusion Strike system. There's a Chromatic in hand, a Switch, a Trekking Shoes, and a Power Tablet. Plenty of options here to try and play that card. So it is going to be the Trekking Shoes. That's going to pull out a Cross Switcher. Of course, don't forget, Isaac does need to make sure this Mew changes position. But the second Mew already done is going to be a big thing. There is a Heads on the Chromatic, though, and that's going to be allowing him to go in and grab 1 card of his choosing.
Yeah, we'll see what this was. Is it the Marnie? It is indeed ready to go with that disruption, hoping to stick Piper with an unfortunate set of 4 cards. This can be the strategy you have to go for against these Inteleon decks. They love to amass large hand sizes so they can piece together all kinds of combos. So putting them to just 4 cards can be really strong.
Yeah, let's see what this comes through with. The trainer's not deciding to mess around with the hands on 4 cards off the top for Piper. It's going to be the Level Ball. I believe we've got
Inteleon.
Yeah, the Inteleon, the Hisuian Heavy Ball, and finally the Twin Energy.
Yeah, plenty for Piper to work with here. I think she'll be just fine. Isaac will retreat now into the other Mew VMAX.
Yep.
throwing it up to the active spot. It can take a knockout here on Inteleon.
And that's going to be big because that leaves Piper staring down the Mew with no damage on it either, which means that Charizard, the Radiant Charizard, isn't going to be able to get that knockout on the one that was softened up. So it may be another Aqua Bullet play if that's something that can be reached by Piper on this turn. And then, of course, you've kind of just got a couple turns left to just Radiant Charizard for knockout and knockout for 3 prizes apiece.
And I think that is maybe what Piper is trying to set up, just KOing 2 VMAX Pokemon. That does open up the possibility for Isaac to maybe pull off a Psychic Leap play to heal one of these Mews completely, so it's a little risky. But if Isaac goes for that, it theoretically would give Piper time to go chase after the Oricorio, chase after a Genesect.
Well, he's also been pretty liberal with the Mews as well. Now that leads to a setup, throwing a couple Mews away
That's
into
true.
the discard.
That's true.
So even if he does,
Yeah,
get
he
one knocked
actually-
out, he needs the bench space, so he needs to, be able to get one to copy the Psychic Leap.
And I actually think, now that you say that, I do think he has discarded his other 2 Mew V. So it would have to be a Silene or something like that if he even wanted to go for Psychic Leap. That's a great point.
Yeah, that is going to be the knockout on to the Inteleon there. So Isaac down to just 3 prizes. That Radiant Charizard looking pretty good right now when it comes to being able to get easy attacks off. But it definitely requires another Aqua Bullet, I think. That's going to be the big thing. And Piper's hand looking a little bit scant at the moment. Of course, being able to get that extra Inteleon down, very, very helpful. It's going to be the Raihan and the Quick Ball. I do really like that as an option here. There's the Quick Ball discarding the Hisuian Heavy Ball. So knowing that only the Mews in the prizes, that's not going to be valuable. That can be got rid of. And there is the Raihan. So the Raihan going in, grabbing that energy from the discard.
Is it Charizard time?
It might be Charizard time, but the Charizard's not going to... Oh, she can go and grab other pieces.
Yes.
The Scoop Up Net, get down the Sobble. Then you're going to get another Sobble down. Another Shady Dealings could go grab that other bit of the Cross Switcher and get that 3-prize knockout.
This is exactly what she's going for. She's got the Twin Energy already in hand to supply the rest of the energies needed. Of course, Excited Heart being activated now that Isaac has taken 3 prizes. She only needs 2 energies on this Charizard in order to take the KO, and I think she's targeting down this Mew VMAX on the bench.
Yeah, beautiful sequencing by Piper to get the max out of this turn. Keep things going with all of the pieces. Make sure that the Drizzar's in the active. There's the attach of the Twin Energy, the Dribble Cross Switcher, the earlier Aqua Bullet has come through, and even though he's leaving the damage down, there it is. 3 prizes to Piper Lepine, easily leveling up this prize count.
All of a sudden, the game is all tied up. Isaac Milaski with a Mew VMAX in the active. Piper just 1 VMAX KO away from becoming a regional champion here in Baltimore. Isaac's going to do everything he can to fight back in this one. And it's going to be a long path for him to do it. And starting with a Chromatic Tails this turn is not helpful.
No, it's not at all. That's a big hand as well. Not being able to maybe play through all of it. Forced into the Marnie. That's another big Marnie. But Piper seems to be able to be getting out of these pretty effectively. So this deck running at optimal speed. Both trainers drawing up 4 for Piper, 5 for Isaac.
And I think what Isaac is hoping here, like he knows that there's an Inteleon in the discard pile, and now he knows there's one on the bottom of the deck. So just maybe Piper won't find a way to get into one.
She's got a way to get one.
We
it's
see
the Evolution
Incense already in hand, and there is a painful discard as well on the Pokestop, getting rid of an energy and a boss, and only getting a Battle VIP pass, which is equally useless.
Yeah, not a great Pokestop here for Isaac Milaski. Looking up against it. Of course, we'll be able to take out this Charizard. The Technoblast, a very easy option right there. And yeah, just knocking that out, saying to Piper, I don't think you're going to be able to get it. But Piper has so many outs here. That Inteleon that was put on the bottom of the deck, easily searchable by this Evolution Incense. That's going to be a Shady Dealings for 2. And the pieces are going to keep on coming here for Piper Lepine. So being able to, maybe just throw in the Aqua Bullet and get something, even the pieces to get that Charizard in the final turn for the big finish would be really, really big.
She's almost at the point where she could just use Clara 2 times and get Charizard back twice and use the Radiant Charizard to 2-hit KO the active. Aqua Bullet, of course, is also an option to soften this active up. Maybe she would like to try to play around any sort of crazy Silene into Psychic Leap plays, and if that's the case, we could see some cross switchers after Genesect and, try to KO a Genesect, then KO Oricorio. That's a lot more to piece together, though.
Well, the Clara's coming to the front of the deck as well, so your play may be on. I think if you put the damage down with the Aqua Bullet on the Mew, though, I mean, you've got to do a lot to get that Mew out of there. There's an escape rope coming to the 4 to go the second card of that Shady Dealing. So this Inteleon has done a lot of work right now. There are, of course, more Sobbles that can go down. There's the Clara.
This is
Charizard
so smart.
energy.
And I think Piper here is going to be playing around the potential of a Psychic Leap play. Isaac does have 3 Mew V in the discard pile, but with a Silene could bring them back and put it back into the deck. So that would take away her win condition and put Isaac down to just 1 prize. So this is very, very smart. Playing this rope forces a Pokemon into the active that Piper can easily KO, be it Oricorio or Genesect, and then it's easy for her to finish up the game on the next turn by finding a boss's orders, provided she can bring the Charizard back once more.
Yep, there's the escape rope into the Charizard. The scoop up net just coming down on that fully stacked Inteleon, but it's now time to start the cycle all over again. Absolute mastery of the deck, honestly, with how well she's been able to chain off these Shady Dealings. Another scoop up net coming to the hand, being able to just keep on going for this one. But checking the hand, making sure all the pieces are going to flow just as intended. I do like this play a lot. With the escape rope, makes a lot of sense to make that Clara play. The rare Candy coming in to the hand, it looks like, just making sure that everything is well done. The quick ball, discarding the Manaphy right here. It's going to be the Mew coming through. That was pulled out of the prizes a little bit earlier for those 3 prizes she took for the Mew VMAX. And like you say, there's no Psychic Leap plays super available right now.
Yeah, and it's not even that good at this point since she's not swung into the Mew VMAX. By grabbing the Mew here as well on Piper's side, she's prepping for the worst case scenario, another Marnie from Isaac Milaski, another disruption option, so she will at least have that piece to promote, use the Mysterious Tail, and hopefully that could get her out of a tough spot. Yeah,
and that Mysterious Tail, you know, there's still an air balloon as well that could be found. It is going to be just the quick knockout there onto the Oricorio, so the Lesson in Zeal is gone. Not that it really matters all that much.
And now over to Isaac, who's just trying to piece it together. He's gotten this game to 2 prizes apiece. It is so close here at this point as far as the prize count is concerned.
Ooh.
But the favor is definitely with Piper Lepine in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, he's going for it with the Ultra Ball, discarding those 2 Battle VIP passes, taking nothing off it. He's down to so few cards in deck, and I don't know if any of those cards are going to be able to get him out of this situation. Obviously, has to be cautious with the draws too. Can't be just ripping through that deck with no options to put cards back in. I believe that's 4 or 5 cards left for Isaac Milaski. Yeah, looks like slightly off the table, but I want to say it's 5. It's 5 by the looks of things. Taking a look at our wider shot over here. Yeah, the game is coming really close, and you know, Piper definitely having an option. Can she just grab a Genesect? You know, as long as the Charizard comes back, can you just grab a Genesect and get the knockout there?
Yes, that is the idea here. She's going to use her final Clara. She does play 2 copies of the card and then use cross switchers in order to bring up this Genesect to close the game out. We are seeing Isaac eye up the Silene, though. Maybe there is some play for him from the discard pile. It's going to start with at least 1 heads.
So just the one. Just
one
more
item. Piece can come back here.
What can he grab, though, that is going to be able to get him out of this position? What 1 card can come back out of that discard to really save him in this situation? There's nothing, I think, that really looks all that tempting, and that's going to be a big problem. He goes to the discard. He's mulling it over. That is a massive discard pile. There's got to be something in there he wants.
You've got to think there's something that could help him here in this spot, but it is starting to seem more and more bleak, and Isaac is just searching and searching, trying to find an answer, and just an Ultra Ball as the grab is probably just going to be used as a way to thin the hand size down to draw more from Genesect here. Because there's no other Pokemon left in the deck, I don't think, at this point.
Yeah, he has no way to get that Mew back. He's going to knock
the
out the Charizard.
And here it is, Piper Lepine going into the deck with the Inteleon. She's playing quickly. I feel like she thinks she's got it. Grabbing the Clara to the front. There's the cross switchers.
Yep, there's the Clara. And yeah, Clara brings that back, and there's the cross switcher play into the Genesect. Piper Lepine is your Baltimore Regional champion. Wow, I mean, she turboed through it, but all the pieces were there.
Yes.
What a fantastic run. Another 2-0 here in Top Cut.
That mask can't hide it. She's got a big grin on her face. Piper Lepine now a regional champion with her Radiant Charizard deck. Congratulations. And of course, as well, congratulations to Isaac Milaski. extremely well played. It's a tough spot. Definitely feels like a matchup that is not in his favor by any means. He did what he could, got it down really close in game number 2, but Piper had the combos, had the pieces to close it out, and she finds herself the Baltimore Regional Champion.
What phenomenal play in both games. I mean, Isaac tried 2 routes. He tried this slow play with the glistening droplets. That didn't work out, and as we talked about between game 1 and 2, we said go for it, go aggressive. But unfortunately, he played aggressive, he took those knockouts, and the Charizard was active pretty early on in that game. As soon as, we got it down to 3 prizes, there's Fire and the Twin Energy, and once it went down to 4, yeah, every time that we got to that, he was down to just 2 prizes remaining, but all she needed was the Clara every time, and then was able to do it. Every turn, I think those Shady Dealings just landed perfectly. Those disruption turns with the Marnies didn't stick either.
And that was really Isaac's one hope in that game too. Just maybe this 4-card hand from Piper isn't going to be good enough. Maybe there won't be an Inteleon out. But alas, Inteleon was found turn after turn after turn. And you can see why many players consider the Shady Dealings Inteleon consistency engine to be one of the best in the history of the Pokemon trading card game.
Oh, it's insane. And the fact that you can play it over and over again, we've got all the tools for it to be even better. Yes, if you just evolve everything up, you get a good amount of Shady Dealings. But as you're able to keep recycling them, and as we saw Piper do so expertly throughout that game, scoop up net, then use the Shady Dealings again, keep getting more pieces. You've got the nice sort of staggered line that was just really perfectly executed. And it shows that, when you put in the time, you put in the practice, once you understand this engine, you're going to be able to get those wins.
Absolutely. This list was popularized by Ross Coffin, who got top 16 at the World Championships just a few short weeks ago. And I think Radiant Charizard was one of these cards that when it came out, everyone recognized pretty quickly, this is a pretty strong card. It was just a matter of finding someone who could get a list that was really consistent, that could utilize this one single attacker turn after turn after turn. And Ross was kind of the first person to bring it to the forefront and say, okay, if I combo this with the one rare candy and can put on a little early game pressure with the Inteleon, that will allow me to build into my Charizard in the later game. And so many players took that strategy, adjusted it a little bit. Piper did make some changes from Ross's list. I don't think she's playing the Snorlax in here, which is something that Ross had access to, and probably a few other things as well, I would imagine. She put in the deck prep, made some changes, and put in the practice and found herself becoming regional champion. Very well played.
And with that in mind, there's only one thing to do right now, and that is to talk to Piper herself and see how she's feeling coming off that huge regional win.
Hello, everyone. It's Adam Watson again from the interview corner here with our newly crowned regional champion, Piper Lepine. How you feeling?
It feels amazing.
I know that this is a momentous occasion for you. The last interview you were talking about earlier, you did say that you broke the curse, won on stream, now you're back as the regional champion. I'm sure you feel unstoppable. What are you going to do first?
I don't know. We're probably gonna go to the hotel and eat. We had to rebook our flights to tomorrow morning. Was not expecting to go this far, but.
So even after this tournament, real life comes knocking. But when it comes to the Pokemon side of things, this Radiant Charizard really showed up for you. I know you mentioned that you hadn't played on it a lot, but you've just been piloting it so well. Are there any changes you think you'd make to the deck, maybe to adapt it to the upcoming metagame? Or are you going to stick with this list?
Yeah, I wouldn't play anything close to this exact list with the new set because of the new stadium, Lost City. But I think Radiant Zard has a lot of potential in the comfy Lost Zone Mirage Gate decks. So.
And if there were any other players who did want to pick up Radiant Zard, what advice would you give them? I mean, you played the deck so well all the way to this regional finals here and taking down the big win. Where do they start if they wanted to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, so I would just say the two big things are just take your time with your plays. Don't rush because that's how you make the small mistakes, and those small mistakes add up a lot. And the other thing is if you're playing in a tournament setting, especially in best of threes, make sure you know when to scoop so that you have the time to finish all 3 games.
And when you were going up against this new Mew build, we saw the Oricorio with the glistening droplets trying to do some spread damage. Did that make you nervous at all, or were you always reliant on the scoop up next? Were you feeling confident that that card would be able to bail you out?
Yeah, I'm very confident in that matchup. I think that was the 6th one I've hit this tournament, and I've 2-0'd all of them. The best win condition Mew has against the deck is going second and you draw passing and them going with the Fusion Strike build, but they don't have the Fusion Strike, so they can't get that dong.
And so with the Mew matchup covered, this big tournament taken down, I know you're tired. It's been a long, grueling day. Is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to that maybe inspired you or did help you get a little bit of last minute practice in for this event?
Yeah, I want to shout out Gamers Basement, especially Bodhi, who won in seniors, as well as Noah, Mikey, Jacob, Alex, Ian, Andrew. I think that's everyone who also did pretty well and helped me. And
Nice. Sounds like you got a lot of people in your corner, and after this big win, I know we're going to have even more people rooting for you. I know I'm now a big fan of Piper the Machine. Once more, congratulations to you, and any final thoughts for the viewers at home?
No, thank you.
Yeah, she's already spent a lot of time playing Pokemon, a lot of time sharing her thoughts, and we're going to let Piper ski-daddle so that she can celebrate her victory with her friends. Thank you once more. We're going to go right back to the desk.
Fantastic to hear from our first regional champion here in the 2023 season. The stat that got me was, yes, I've played Mew 6 times and I've 2-0'd it every time.
2-0'd every single one. She had to be feeling confident going into this finals match. Piper is a player who we watched a lot through the 2022 season. She's one of these players who was in a really awkward spot. In 2019 through 2020, she was a senior, playing her last year out in that division. And then everything happened. We went away from tournaments for a couple of years. We came back in 2022. All of a sudden, she's having to play half a season as a senior, half a season as a master. And she really did prove herself in that season, making multiple top 64 finishes at international and regional championship level events, top 32 at regionals as well. Just hadn't quite broken into the top 8. Everyone knew it was bound to happen eventually. And here she is. Her first top 8 at a master leads to her becoming regional champion. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, and with that in mind, let's take a look at the final standings from the weekend, see how those players were doing. Of course, Piper Lepine, our winner on the Radiant Charizard, taking down Isaac Milaski with the Mew Vmax and the new build that we've been seeing come through. We got to see both of these other decks in top 4. A really good showing for my boy Regis with Andrew Kannett at the helm, and Makani Tran being the highest rated Palkia player, but playing it up with the Ice Rider Calyrex. And we do get to see some repeats as we come down through the rest of the top 8. Another one of those new Mews coming in at 5th under Jeremy Gumila's guidance. Nicholas Moffat, another player on the Radiant Charizard, in at 6th. Joe Rudiger, the final one in top 8 on this new Mew build. And then Jack Moore with that very interesting Miltank Morpeko build that we didn't quite get to look at, but I know it caused some consternation amongst the tables.
I'm definitely a little bummed we didn't get to see that one on stream. It just never quite worked out to get it up on the stage. But let's not forget what these players are playing for. We are on the way to the World Championships in Yokohama, Japan. Not too far in the future. A year will go by very, very quickly. Before you know it, we'll be traveling to Japan to see who's going to become our next world champion.
Yeah, I mean, it's only 11 or so months away, but
It goes by fast.
yeah, that means there's plenty of time for you guys at home, if you're inspired by what you've seen here this weekend, to get involved. We've got another, I believe it's 14 regionals here in North America. There's regionals all around the world. Pokemon.com/compete. Here you can follow up. You can get results from previous tournaments, get some inspiration, and of course find out how you can start your journey to the World Championships here.
4 international championships as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
There's so much happening before the World Championships. Plenty of time to get involved, plenty of time to try to earn your invite, punch your ticket to Yokohama, and maybe you'll be our next World Champion.
Yeah, and thinking of events that we do have coming up, it's not long till we're back here in North America with another one of those regional championships. We'll be in Peoria, Illinois in a humble 2 weeks, September 30th through October 2nd. I'm sure that's going to be an absolute belter. We've got so much going on here on the TCG. Lost Origin is legal for that one. There's going to be some fun.
Yes, I can't wait to see what players come up with the new set. There's so many unique new cards revolving around the Lost Zone. Can't wait to see what's going to happen in just a couple weeks in Peoria. But with all that being said, that's going to wrap it up for us, wrap it up for our show this weekend. Thank you all so much for tuning in, watching along, following along, and supporting all of these players. Congratulations once again to all of our champions. For myself, Adam, and Jeremy, thank you so much for watching.